David, so you're taking care of the drawings?
I am.
Great, thank you.
I do have a message that says you're in a practice session starting the webinar.
When we're ready to start, I'll get rid of that.
You'll do that? Okay, great.
It is time right now.
All right, let's do it. You're live.
Okay, so this is the January 26, 2023 Montecito Board of Architectural Review consent calendar. We have two items on the agenda today. Item C2 has requested a continuance, so we only have one consent item today. The comments are: nice project. MBA are concerned regarding the landscape lighting significantly reduce the amount of hanging tree light fixtures. Provide lighting plan which clearly delineates the different type and proposed location of the exterior lighting fixtures. So Bill, Dave, do you want to participate or do you just want to do the drawings?
I'll just do the drawings unless needed.
So as it turns out, Claire Gottstanker, who normally does this, the landscape portion of this, has other business today. I've asked Bill Wolf to join us. Bill, have you had a chance to look at these projects, please?
I have, yes.
And do you have any comments about these projects, please?
Yeah, Dave, could we go to the landscape sheet, which is in the group 4 set there? I just, yeah, there you go. Double click on that. And there's the lighting plans, which are toward the bottom, last 2 pages, maybe. Yeah, go to the next one down there. So the only question I had, you mentioned pole lights, and you show them in that upper left corner there, Dave, where there's parking. Looks like a parking area there. How tall are those poles, and what kind of wattage do you have on that light fixture?
So if you actually go to page 18,
it's right there.
we've provided sort of a detail there for this. This is our LE10 pole mounted downlight, which we have concealed in the hedges. So you can see it's just under 6 feet tall.
Under 6 feet, okay. And then Dave, the last page, page 20, real quick. So I didn't see any lighting down in this. Other than you had some lighting over by the tennis court, was there anything else in the site that you have outside exterior lighting for?
Nope, we really kept the south end of the property pretty bare. We just kind of concentrated the lighting on the north end, immediately around the structure.
Okay, so those were the only questions I had, John.
So you had a chance to review the entire set.
Yeah, it looks complete to me. I don't have any problems with the lighting they're proposed. Most of it's inward. Anything that was in the trees and on poles were inboard, and the fact that that's only 6 feet tall.
Can we go? Okay, thank you, David. I'm sorry if I just cut you off. Can we go back to sheet 19, please, David? I disagree with Bill. I think that there's still a lot of lighting on here. And in particular, I look at, can we go down to the main part of the house? There's some green fixtures up a little higher than that, Dave. There's some green right there, right there. Those are all downlights and trees, and they are not just a few of them on this project. I did not count them. Rebecca, it seems like you're the one representing this. Do you know how many of those you have?
Yes, I do. So we previously had 30 of these tree mounted moonlights, and we took out 25 of them. So now we only have 14 left on the site. And you'll first see them right here.
So you had 40, you had 40 before.
We had, 39, yeah.
Okay. So I'm sorry, go ahead, please.
So you first see them, we only have 14 now. You first see them at this drive court. We also provided an image on the upper left corner of this sheet, illustrating the lighting effect that we're going for, which is, something that's very subtle. These are called moonlights because they mimic the light effect that you get from, the full moon at night. And we just want to put sort of a little bit of dappled lighting on the ground. We're looking at like 1/10 of a foot candle coming from these fixtures. But yes, so you first see them at that drive port there. And then as you approach the main entry of the house. And then we just kind of kept them to pathways. So then the next place you'll see them is when you're heading south towards the spa. There's a couple on that pathway down there. And then as you make your way south to the tennis court, we continue them there.
There's some on the eastern side too, correct?
No, we took all of those ones out.
Okay.
And
Okay.
John, it might be helpful if we went to page 13, just in terms of those entry ones in the motor court. Just as a reminder of the section and how deep down those are in the lot.
Okay, so thank you for sharing. Let me do my thing if I could. So this is the deal. Every jurisdiction in the state of California is required to have either a general plan, or in some cases it sort of reduces down into a thing called a community plan, which is what we have. And the singular phrase in the community plan for Montecito is maintain and preserve the semi-rural, low-intensity residential character of the community. There is no question, and this was written in 1992, so we're now over 20 years. There's no question that there's a significant push for people to want to have lighting that is not really a dark community, which is what we had before, and which I think many of us on the board feel we should continue to have. I understand this is dappled. I understand the 1/10 of a foot candle that you're describing here, but it's not the maintaining the really low intensity of looking up in the hillside and basically not seeing any light. And that is eroding out in the community, not just this project, but everywhere. So that's the concern that I have. And I understand what you're trying to get at. And I don't believe that that's consistent with what this board has approved in the past. Having said that, let me chat with my board member, Bill Wolf. Bill, what is your comment about this project in relationship to what I just said, please?
Yeah, well, I think that, and Dave, if we can go back to that page 18 or 19, whichever it is. I mean, I think that because of the great distances between property, I felt that it was acceptable. It's hard to read these too, they're so tiny and very light. I still felt it was okay. I didn't feel like they overdid it. That if I was going to be 100%, in compliance with you and your thoughts as well, maybe you'd remove 3 and you'd still be much better. But I think they've, again, inboard at the courtyard, I think is pretty well screened with landscaping. And I don't know how much of that's going to bleed into the neighborhood. And down by the tennis court there, if you could zoom into the second page, Dave. Is it the tennis court? Not the tennis court. I guess the bottom of this page right here. Yeah. There's 4 fixtures there. If that was reduced to maybe 2, it'd be better. I still think they can have some and not be too much of an impact. And again, this is pretty well screened from the neighbors by the building. So that's my opinion, John. I don't know.
Okay, so I'm not willing to vote for this because of this lighting. The rest of everything, architecture, style, design, working drawings, details, all of it, unfortunately, the county requires that we have a single vote up or down. And
Can I
so,
just, John, I don't mean to interrupt. I do just want to point out one other unique thing about this property. You cannot see onto this property from the neighbors.
well, okay, so I think that there's some visibility down on San Ysidro Road. I don't know that it is a lot, but I think it is some. So the interesting thing about today is we have some very serious quorum issues today. And so I'm not willing to vote for it because of this lighting. Bill, it sounds like you would be willing to vote for it. What I'd like to do is to refer this up to the first item, after we take care of some quick administrative stuff, show this one page, have the entire board take a look at it and make a decision there. Usually, the usual process, as Brian knows, is that we come to some conclusion at this portion of the meeting, recommended, and so far, they've always taken it as we have suggested. But since there is, in essence, a split vote here, I'd like to have the full board take a look. Does that sound reasonable to you, Bill?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And John and Bill, if in an effort to move to advance the project, I don't want to have Anne and Rebecca be on the spot here, but in an effort to move it forward, if you think there are certain problem fixtures that we can focus in on, and with Anne and Rebecca, studying that between now and the full board, we want to advance the project. And so if there are certain fixtures that are more problematic that you want us to study specifically that you think would make you comfortable, we'll do that while we wait for the full board.
Okay, so let me just make a suggestion here. Can we go back to that alley of trees from the fire department turnaround to the left of the main building? Yeah, right in there. Why can't those be path lights, Brian? I think you guys should chat about that. Are there ways to take some of this and make it into a path light? You get your security, the trip and fall is taken out, but I think you don't get as much potential splaying of light as you will in this.
And those are the LE12 specific?
I think, can we zoom out to the fixtures to 18, David? 18, there you go. It's 11, 12, and then whatever LE1 surface mounted adjustable downlight. I'm not concerned about the ones in the path, which is LE10, nor LE9. I thought those were kind of interesting, but just trying to keep the light down at the ground, not up in the air. So do you agree with that, Bill?
I do, yeah. No, I agree, yeah. I mean, if those, the tree lights are the ones that I think we're most concerned about. Nothing, the path lights, the down lights, even the pole, 6 foot tall pole is not so critical, but
Can I just show you one more time what this tree light looks like? I'm willing to make changes. We're absolutely open to that.
And we do this every other Tuesday. Yes, thank you. Please have a chat. We're going to talk about this at the full meeting. Please, turn off your mics, pick up the cell phone, have a little chat amongst yourselves, and we'll pick it up then. How's that?
Yeah, you guys got to start right now anyway. So
well, we have 1 minute and 9 seconds.
We get it. Okay, we will mute.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
thanks. Okay.
Okay, it is 1 o'clock. Do we have a quorum? John, Bill, Dave, I see. Elida, are you with us, please?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So we do have a quorum. Okay, I'd like to call the January 26th, 2023 Montecito Board of Architectural Review to order, full main board. First item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anybody that's attending this meeting that would like to address the board on an item not on our agenda, please?
John, I think our speakers are signed up for items on the standard agenda.
Okay, excellent. Number 2, reconsider the circumstances of the COVID-19 emergency. I would like to move to continue to have virtual meetings as long as we can, with the findings being made that our Kimberly has been so good at putting in our minutes. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion about that?
John, just before you take a vote, I just want to point out that I think kind of like if you make this motion, that's fine. But I don't think that you can extend it out past February. I think we're back in person in March.
For 1 month, for the next month.
Yeah.
How's that?
I'll second that.
Are you good with that, David?
No, that's perfect. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. All those in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, agenda status report. What's going on here, Dave?
Let's see here. So, and maybe you can help me out here a little bit. So let's just start with the easy one, which is item C2. I received a couple of emails about this one. I think where we are now is that they requested a continuance to your February 23rd meeting.
Would you like a motion to that effect, please?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, I'll move to continue the item C2 to February 23rd. Is that what it was?
I'll second that.
Any discussion, please? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? David, back to you, please.
All right. So we do have, as John indicated a few minutes ago, we do have some quorum issues right now. So just due to some members need to recuse for items number 2 and number 4. And as I understand it, that we do have an additional member who will be joining us at around 2:30. So we will possibly need to bump these items until that member arrives at 2:30.
Okay.
Did I get that right, John?
Sounds perfect.
Okay, great.
We also have some other members that will not be attending at all. We are required to have 4 members, and we only are able to have 4. And for instance, on item 2, I have to step down. So we now have 5. We now have 4. We're going to get 1 more, and we'll have 4 when I step down. So just please hang in with us today. Anything else? David, please.
No, that was it.
Okay. Minutes. I did not see any. Did I miss them?
Oh, here we go. Who's running the,
Dave.
Dave Mandro.
oh,
You know, I did not review these. Did anybody else review these?
I did not either.
I'd like to continue this to our next meeting if that's okay. Is that
Sure.
okay with everybody?
Yep.
Apologies.
so-
I didn't get to these until Monday morning.
Yeah, whatever. So I would like to move the review of the minutes of January 12th to our next meeting, please.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion, please? All those in favor?
aye.
Aye. All those opposed, please. Okay, MBR members informational briefing. Anybody do anything, et cetera, et cetera?
No.
I
Anybody?
had something, but now I can't remember.
Okay, I'd like to bring up 2 items. Number 1, Dave, can you send the members of the board a link to One South County BAR so that we can see how they operate? We can individually click on it at our own leisure and see how the room is set up and where we're probably going to be sitting and things like that. Would that be possible?
I think you're talking to me, I think.
Yes. A link to one of their meetings, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. That's number one. Number two, last year, prior to 12 inches in 12 hours up on San Marcos Pass, we had been very concerned about WELO and water conservation and things of that nature. Does this board continue to have those concerns? And if so, would we like to have a discussion about WELO or not? Please.
I'm very concerned about going forward. And I would think the more information and shared opinions between us would be helpful.
Bill?
Yeah, I agree. I think any information would be helpful.
Dave?
Determining.
I agree.
Okay, and so do I. I had had an opportunity to speak with Lisa Plowman about this, and somehow we were supposed to have a meeting which did not happen. Dave, could you report back to us about what internally the planning department would like to do to help facilitate this? And if they say no, I think we can set up a subcommittee and maybe work with that in a non-quorum environment. And
Okay.
then we'll go from there. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I'll
just
touch
let
base
us
with
know if
Lisa. I
you-
think she's here today.
Okay, excellent. That's all I have. Anything else from anybody?
No.
Okay, staff update. Dave?
I
Please.
do have one thing, actually, it pertains to an email that Bill sent me just a few minutes ago. So this is back before I started covering your meetings, but apparently there was you guys reviewed a project at 1950 Lemon Ranch Road. And, they have not applied for their land use permit and they don't have a planner yet, but they do have story poles up. And my understanding, just reading this email, is that the board had requested that when the story poles went up for Burnham Wood, to let the MBAR members know so they can unofficially view them. Does that sound familiar?
Okay, so here's the deal. It's Danny Longtree's project
Yeah,
in Hope Ranch. We need permission to get through the gate. Does anybody have an interest in going and seeing these?
It's a single story house, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
he was doing. Yeah,
we
go
didn't
ahead,
ask
Bill.
him. We didn't ask him. I don't think for polls. I think they put them up for Burnham
Burnham
Wood.
Wood.
Yeah.
Do we have an interest in seeing it or not? Please.
I think if he brought photos of the site with the story poles up, that might be enough.
Okay, so can you take care of that? I think that's a good suggestion. Single story, I'm not worried about it.
Okay, I'll respond to him.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay, anything else?
That's it for me, unless Kimberly has something.
Nothing for me, thank you.
Okay, welcome, Kimberly. I didn't know you were here. Okay, so Montecito consent agenda. Now, Claire is out, as some of us know. I asked Bill to join me. So we have a split vote recommendation on whether or not this item C1 should be approved based on landscape lighting. Dave Medro, can you go to that project and go to page 18 and 19, please?
Sure.
Thank you. I think it was on
Four.
Yeah,
There you go.
18 and 19, please. Okay, so here's the bottom line. I feel that with the vote of how this board, and so what we are doing is kicking it up to the full board, and that's what's going on right here. So I felt that the lighting that they had proposed was too much. Bill thought that it was acceptable. And basically it has to do with the downlights, which is the lower right-hand corner. There are 15 of these on the site. Do I remember correct?
Yeah.
Okay, they started with 39 last time. They're down to 15. I had questions about whether or not we should have that many given the site. Bill, let me speak for you, and if I'm wrong, please jump in. Bill said this is a very large site. It's well screened to the perimeter. It's going to be very hard to see. This number of lights is probably okay. So, members of the board, please take a look. Do you want to
You're
take a
talking about the lower right corner where there's those two.
Green, so the
Here, I'll zoom in. Sorry
the
about that.
green arrows are the tree lights. Those are the ones that we were talking about mostly.
Those LE11 and LE12s are tree lights. It seemed like a lot more than what we've been approving in the past, and there's some down below. There's a total of 15 of these, mostly concentrated in that area and in this area right here. There's 3 of them down, or 4 of them down
Over
here.
there, yeah. And
So
8.
that's it, right? Those 2 areas?
And John, we did
Yeah, that's
have
correct.
have
Okay.
an opportunity to discuss as a team. So
Okay. Brian Banks is the representative, so Brian, please.
So we discussed, and then, as we had mentioned in the consent meeting, in order to advance this project, it's been, years to get here. And we understand the concern, and we can let Rebecca or Ann provide the solution, but, we'd like to move it forward and make it easy. So Ann or Rebecca, do you want to let the board know what we've decided?
Yeah, but I mean, specifically regarding your, concern with these moonlights in the drive court and swapping them out for path lights, we understand your concern and we're, more than happy to comply.
Okay, so the LE11 and LE12 would be swapped out for which fixture, please?
That's our LE9 path light. Right there on the bottom third one over.
Oh, those are 6 feet high, right?
No. These are low path lights.
Okay.
They're like, 18 inches.
So Bill Wolf, I assume you're okay with that.
Yes.
Elida, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I didn't have the problem with the downlights in the trees, so this is fine.
Dave Mendro.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with the downlight in the trees either.
Okay, so do you guys want to make a motion and I'll vote against it for the, as submitted,
Well, back to the applicant, if you're willing to satisfy everybody, let's go with the path light if you want to.
We want to satisfy everyone. We don't want a legacy.
Okay, I would like to move for final approval as submitted, with the exception that the path light, that the lights LE11 and LE12 be changed to LE9, is it?
Yeah, 9.
Rebecca, is it 9?
Correct, LE9,
Okay.
yeah.
Is there a second to that motion, please?
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion, please?
John, did we have to get public comment on this too or not?
Yeah, we need to do public comment.
Yes, and I apologize, I did not do it during the consent calendar. Is there anybody that would like, thank you, Bill. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on item C1, 690 Picacho Lane, please?
Not seeing any hands, John.
Okay, can we keep that motion in place? Dave,
Yes.
even though it was made before the public comment?
If you want, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, all those in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a nice adventure with this project.
Thanks.
Okay, so hang on a second. Do we have another item or two here? So that was a consent calendar.
That's it.
We are up to the standard agenda things. Item number 1 does not have problems with quorum. 1730 Glen Oaks Road. Somebody from Vanguard Planning, please.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm Jarrett Gorin from Vanguard Planning, and also April Palencia from Vanguard is here with me. And this is a remodel of an existing house in Glen Oaks. And I'm gonna look at like the aerials of the site and kind of the neighborhood context. And April's gonna present the architecture of the project since she's an architect. So if we could get the photos file up, please.
Just before we get started with that, could we focus in on the FAR, please? Now, this board does not talk about ADUs, but as it turns out, this one has an attached ADU, which is not taken into account because of this and that, and we will hear about it more. We're at 99%, okay? Thank you.
Don, is this the first time for conceptual on this
Yes,
project?
it is, right, Jared?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay, please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, so here's a zoomed out large aerial of where we are. So we're in that Glen Oaks neighborhood. Let's go ahead down to the next, please. This is much closer in on our site. So that rectangular thing in the middle is our house with the little pool on our lot. And then you can see the scale of the houses that are next to us compared to what our existing house looks like. And those are pretty characteristic of that neighborhood as a whole. If I had a higher resolution, large zoom out, I would show you all that. But I think this gives you a good idea of what's going on out there. Let's take it a little bit out of order. Can we skip down to, I think it's slide 19. Okay, so this is the neighborhood context. And it's a little challenging because just about every house out here has gates and fences and vines and hedges. And so that's mostly what you experience when you walk around out here. This is our property. So that's the existing gate entrance. There's a wood gate that's closed most of the time, but we opened it so that you could see what's visible of the house if one were to pass by when that gate was open. The picture right next to that on the right is looking over our fence down into the yard where the pool is. You can see the really nice oak tree we've got there. And then this other view at the bottom is if you were to look over our fence at exactly the right angle to see, this would be the southernmost part of the existing residence. You can also see in this photo that it sort of sits up on a knoll in the property. Let's go to the next slide. So here's our next door neighbor. Again, sort of what I was talking about. This is what you see from the road. Next. Neighbor across the street. I mean, there's just no way to get pictures of these houses without a drone, and we didn't fly one around to do that. Next house. So these houses have kind of a shared driveway. These are across the street from our property. So that's what you see there. And next. Okay, and then again, that's another house that's across the street from us. Looks like there might be more than one down that driveway by those mailboxes. Next, please. And some more photos of that property. Sheltered off there with hedges and gates. Next, please.
That's the end.
Okay, great. If we could go back up to the top, and I think we would go to the third slide. Okay, so this is our baseline. I want to start off with what we have to work with here. And I don't know when this house was built. It's probably in the late 60s or early 70s. And as it stands right now, this house is sort of unique in this neighborhood. Most of the houses around it are larger and newer and of, I would say, a better quality than this house has been. And I think like one guy owned this house since the early 70s, and just it was kind of preserved in its existing state. So this is looking at our house towards across our pool, sort of from the west towards this elevation. And you know, it's this long rectangle. So here's the, you know, the prominent elevation, and then we've got one opposite this. Next, please. So this is also out in the yard, sort of with that oak tree that screens the house. So that's closer in view of the one we showed from the street. And again, we got this pool down here, no deck around it or anything like that. They really don't have any landscaping on this property other than the existing trees and grass. Next, please. Okay, so this is looking north up at the road from the house. And that's where the driveway is. I think there was like some really deteriorated asphalt there, and maybe that's been taken out here. Actually, this is as you get closer to the road and sort of looking to the west, where we have a proposed driveway a minute ago. That's why that's not paved. Next, please. Okay, so this is looking at our neighbor. We could look at the aerials if we want to later, if there's any questions, but there's quite a bit of vegetation on all of the property lines that are providing separation between this property and either of the adjacent neighbors. Next, please.
Jarrett, we have 10 items today. Can you be as concise as possible?
You know what? I'm done. I mean, if you guys don't need to see more of this stuff, you get an idea of the house from this, I'm going to pass it over to April. If you want to see this in more detail, we'll go back to it.
Maybe we jump back to this if we need to. April,
Yeah.
please.
Sure. I'll take a look at the drawings. Great. So Jarrett located us in Montecito, and so we're just south of East Valley Road, as you can see on that vicinity map on the cover sheet. Next sheet, please. And that's the existing topographic map and the existing configuration of the house, the pool, and the driveway. Next. And this is a side-by-side comparison of the existing condition and that which we're proposing. Could you zoom in on the proposed development, please? So at the left of the page, we're proposing the existing pool to stay generally in the same footprint, and we're adding a spa, a fire pit, and a cabana, and then some stairs linking the pool to the existing home. And then the house is shown with the proposed improvements. We're adding a 3-car garage and an addition to host an ADU above the garage, and then also to the south, a loggia, a covered loggia, and a bocce ball court south of the cabana. Next. That's the existing ground floor. We can skip to, yeah, go ahead and skip that.
In the interest of time, are you interested in seeing floor plans at all? Because we could skip all of them.
I think that one of the things that's going to come up is setbacks, and so I think the floor plan is important.
Okay.
Please.
Okay. So let's see, we'll go down to that sheet.
That's it right there.
So that's the proposed configuration. And north is now to the bottom left corner of the page. The 3-car garage is shown at the top of the page, and then the patio, the covered patio and loggia is at the right-hand side of the page. We've also expanded the dining room, the informal dining room attached to the kitchen at the bottom of the page. And we're showing a greater kind of transparency between the inside spaces looking out toward the pool. Next. The second story floor plan shows the improvements made to the primary suite and that it opens onto that balcony that's above the loggia. And then the ADU above the garage has a stair access at the top right of the page that leads to some deck above that same loggia. And those two spaces will be separated by a planter. Next. So we are keeping the existing mansard roof as shown in the elevations. Next. So here's the elevation. I don't know if my mouse does anything, but on the top right-hand side is the existing portion of the house, and the top left is the addition with the new garage and ADU above. And the bottom elevation, the west proposed elevation, shows some new openings, generally in the same location where they exist, because we're trying to accommodate those existing eyebrow features that are embedded into the mansard roof. And below that on the ground floor, we're broadening the openings to allow more light and ventilation into those spaces below, including at the informal dining room to the right of the page that's attached to that open air loggia. Next.
No, one higher.
Yeah, so here's the south facade showing the open loggia, and to the right-hand side of that rear elevation is the 3-car garage and the stair leading up to the ADU. And the east proposed elevation is the front of the house, if you will. The front door is there in the center with the really tall pane of glass, and the window above it, it also lights into the front entryway. And we're going to see that in the renderings in just a minute here.
Real
Next.
quick, before we go to the next, in board member Watson or Chairman Watson's comment, you can see here, we're looking at the end of that addition with the ADU above, and that's the only portion of the structure that approaches any kind of a setback. And you can see that all the windows in that structure are oriented to either side of that rather than facing the neighbor. We can go on.
So this is the Cabana elevation, and we're trying to pick up on the motif and honor the primary residence while being diminutive toward it. So we're trying to be subordinate to the existing structure, and we're not trying to replicate the mansard roof, but just do a simpler detailing here while staying in keeping with the tone of the property. Next. Next. Let's scroll all the way down to the color elevations. There we go. So this facade faces the pool, shows that stair connection. Next. And this one best shows the dining room expansion and the covered loggia and the balcony above. Next. And you can kind of flip through these quickly. This is just the pool and cabana, the back elevation. And that loggia again. The connection of the bocce ball to that covered loggia. And then the front entry. So this is the front door, and it's articulated with a stone facade that's proud of the main house, and it has a little bit of color variation and material variation and depth variation to announce a sense of arrival at the front door. And that gorgeous steel glass provides that really translucent see-through corridor to the back, to the backyard. And the cabana. And then this is the front entry from those steel glass doors. And that gives you a tone of the interior of the house. If you just go back to, 2 slides to number 30, you'll see that transparency from the front door to the back door that we're trying to introduce and create that kind of sense of intrigue. Did you have anything else, Jarrett?
I don't. Well, really, we're just trying to modernize this house. We are trying to, it's kind of a dark house, so we're trying to provide a lot of natural light into it, but still work with the existing window placements because there's a pretty formal rhythm to those. And we managed to redo the floor plans without having to significantly alter the window placements on the shell of the structure. So that was our challenge, and that's what we're trying to do. And I think that's it.
Okay, good. Thank you. Questions, Bill?
Yeah, this might be a question for Kimberly, actually. Bocce courts in the setback, are those okay? And what is the stand on the building being in the setback there? I know we can do a variable setback or not in this property.
So bocce courts can be in the rear yard setback, as can other detached accessory uses structures. They do need to meet the side yard setback. And yes, just a brief look at the placement of the residence. Looks like they are trying to avail themselves to the variable rear yard setback. I don't know if they've dimensioned the 15 feet. They do have to meet a minimum setback of 15 feet.
Okay. And then to the design team, is there a reason why the loggia covered porch is there and not on the side that faces the pool? Was there a reason, the logic behind that, or hard and fast, or had you thought about putting it on the south? Or
There is a reason for that, and it's that the existing elevation of that house is it's not a aesthetically strong elevation. It's really bad, and being able to get that loggia on there and provide some detail and interest is a big improvement. And also, there's a really nice sun exposure that way. That's the south exposure. And the loggia is more of the secondary result of being able to have that nice deck above, and it creates the loggia below. So that's why we have it there.
Okay. I think that's all I had. Oh, trees, any trees removing or other plantings to do the additions?
The addition would not result in the removal of any trees. That's just, as it is right now, that's just a driveway over there.
And the cabana as well? That doesn't remove any trees?
I don't think it does. I think it's all just a big lawn over there.
And then last question, sorry. The secondary access drive there, that's not there now. You're proposing a new loop around kind of a drive. Is that the plan?
That's correct. That's what we'd like to do.
Okay. All right. That was my question. Thanks.
Lida.
Is there even a conceptual landscape plan at this point?
There is not. We wanted to get feedback on the house and everything first before proceeding to all that. And then when we come back, we would have probably a fully developed landscape plan.
Okay, I'll save the rest of it for comments.
David?
Yeah, what is the purpose of the loop driveway?
To allow cars to drive in and drive out, head out without having to go all the way down into the motor court to execute turns. It's just something that the client would like to have. There isn't an operational requirement for it. It's a client preference.
Okay, and then how visible is the new part of your structure to the neighborhood and the community? In particular, the part that's encroaching. I'll zoom in a little bit here.
You mean are you referring to the back side of the house that encroaches in the rear setback?
The entire house, but in particular, the part where you're proposing to encroach into the setback.
To the neighborhood, it wouldn't be visible at all. And you can see in the orientation here, the existing footprint of the house actually blocks the view of the addition from the street.
I'm going to open up the...
Yeah.
Maybe the next slide, which is a much larger, okay, great. Yeah, Google Earth is fantastic. Let's go look at it there.
1730 Glen Oaks. Dave. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so this is a great image. So you can see the vegetation that's in place. You can see that what occupies the space of our proposed addition is basically a driveway and some back out area. And then you can also see that if from line of sight from the street, the existing house essentially blocks the view of the addition. The only view corridor through there would be the width of the driveway. And if you could precisely align yourself with that, you would maybe be able to see the final 10 feet of that addition.
And those are my questions. Thanks.
Have you been to the fire department, please?
We have, and we also ran calcs on all of this, and it does meet the hose pull distances and their development standard distances.
Have you had a chance to talk about this project with your neighbors, please?
We have, and we took it to the homeowners association, and in our case file, you'll find a letter of support from the homeowners association, also indicating their review of this project.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that's the end of our questions. Public comment, we did receive at least one comment letter. Is there anybody that would like to address the board that's attending this meeting, please?
John, we did have one person sign up for public comment, Bailey Hockhalter.
Okay, please, has she or he been promoted to talk?
Yeah.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yes, and just before you get started, did you write us that letter, please?
No, I did not. I'm sorry. I didn't sign up for public comment. I was just attending
That's
to
fine.
view.
So there's a letter as well. Please go ahead, sir.
Oh, I think he just said he's just listening.
Yeah, he's part of our design team, and I think
Oh,
he's
you
just
don't want to
watching.
make a comment?
No, apologies. I didn't mean for the
That's
confusion.
okay.
Yeah, I'm part of
So-
the design team and I was listening in.
Okay, so is there anybody else? Okay, so David, we do have a public comment letter.
Yeah.
There's two, right?
I think they're joined together here. And basically what this is saying is that, I can read it, but I think I can summarize it, is that the second story addition, which is an ADU, which we are not permitted to discuss really, is going to block their views, and if there is a way to get this to be a single story solution over here, they would very much appreciate it. So again, it's about the ADU, so I think we have to be a little bit careful about how far we get into this. Okay? So, is there anybody else, please?
There was a second letter, Dave, you said? Two?
Well,
I thought that there was only one, Dave. Did I miss one?
there's this one.
Oh, I didn't see that one. Okay, so I own the property at 716 Glen Oaks. In addition to being south of the priority redirected and channeled the water from 730 through on a variety of stuff. Years ago, I installed a couple of small drains to attempt to accommodate the redirected flow. Can you go down, please? The new owner of 1730 did not create these flows and has not made any changes to 1730 since their acquisition. These are flows from the existing improvements. Indeed, the new owner has been very responsive to the existing flows, including repairing the damage to my gravel driveway. The proposed improvements to 1730 include a substantial increase in the hardscape. I am, however, very concerned about the alteration in the natural flows of water. Okay, so these are almost for sure going to get picked up in the tier 1 and tier 2 stuff. Okay,
Right.
so very concerned about drainage.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else, please? Comments? Back in the same order. Bill?
Yeah, so I'm fine with the style of the architecture. It looks like the upper floor addition, if it's outside the setback, which it looks like it's just barely there, based on that site plan, I think I'd be okay with it. I'm still not sure that and it looks like they can do it based on planning's review of that loggia, which is it's an outdoor deck. That's the only other thing, is the impact of that deck in relation to the neighbors. That part I would like to see maybe some other alternatives, if you could certainly consider something. It's the upper floor deck, I think, that would be most impacting to the neighbor there and I've forgotten which direction is north, south, I guess, yeah. And so that would be a concern. And then the second thing, which I'm not certain has been quite resolved yet, is the secondary drive. We've typically not really liked those. Dave, if you could zoom out just a little bit. And, maybe there's a way to just increase the turnaround area. Obviously you're going to need to talk with fire in terms of access and all of that. But, and I don't know, if you wanted to really push that to access pathway, then maybe show the precedent has been set at other properties. I don't know how many others have that. I think most of them have single entrances. So again, to try and maintain sort of that rural feel, a single entrance is going to, I think, work better, and you'll have less paving too. So, I think those two things: the second floor deck, be a little more concerning to me if you can limit that, and the secondary driveway, and the bocce court, move it out of the side setback. Okay, that's
Is that it? Thank you.
Yeah.
Elida, please.
Especially since the second floor is going to be going on this building, I'll be eager to see a conceptual plan, because I don't see that there are any verticals, any trees to kind of, the oaks that are existing are on the upper part of the drawing at least, and something to just soften. There's that patch there. And also cautionary, when the conceptual plan is done, this board is becoming more and more sensitive to the amount of lawn for environmental reasons. So I'm hoping to see some nice big beds and not just acres of lawn on this property. And that's it.
David, please.
Yeah, I think Bill did a very good job of summarizing my concerns. It appears from Google Earth that the project's well screened. You've gone through the homeowners process. It sounds like you've reached out to the neighbors, but I would like more information on the landscape and documenting the existing screening, what it is, how tall it is, and that it's going to remain, especially in that area where you're proposing the encroachment within the setback. But overall, it's a nice upgrade of the existing house. And I think it benefits your clients and the neighborhood to make this place better. It's just those areas where you're pushing. Also, I would recommend taking a look at the bocce court. And sounds like you definitely need to get out of the side yard setback, but I would also recommend that you move it further away from the rear yard setback as well. Those are my comments.
I'm going to take a different approach. I did read this, the letters, or at least one letter. I didn't see the other one. I think there may be other site configurations that have less view impact to the neighbors, and I would like to have you explore those. I understand that the state specifically passed its laws to prohibit people from protecting their property, their neighbors from protecting their property. But I think that there may be other alternatives on how this site is organized. And I would like to ask you to review other alternative site planning alternatives that would that would solve that problems that were addressed in that one comment letter.
Board Member Watson, can we look at something real quick with respect to this comment? Because I think it's important for you to see it, and it's basic geometry, which wasn't necessarily clear from that letter. Could we look at the Google Earth, please?
Jarrett, be very quick, please.
I'm going to be really quick with this. Could we rotate it to where the view to the mountains would be to the top of the page? Okay, our neighbors at 1740 are that house that is to the left of us in front of the tennis court. Our addition is on the opposite side of our house and
Jared,
further south. And I don't know how it could block their view of the mountains.
Jarrett, could you please, if you believe that that's true, could you please go and talk with the authors of those letters?
We'd be happy to.
And come back with a letter of support if you feel strongly about keeping this. Okay? Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay, so are there any other comments from the board members, please? We are running, it's taking a while. Everybody okay? Okay,
Yep.
so there
Yes.
is no motion because we're on for concept. Item number 2, we do not have quorum, so we're going to push
Mr.
that farther back into the, I have a conflict, so we're down to 3 when I'm
Mr.
out.
Chair, could I just get the board to give me a recommendation as what level they'd like to see this come back? Further conceptual?
For me, further conceptual. What about you guys?
I agree.
Bill? You're on mute, Bill.
Yes, yeah, further conceptual.
And Dave?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kimberly. Okay, so item number 2, we will have to deal with this when Tip shows up in about 45 minutes or so. Item number 3, 607 Meadow Lane. We had a site visit on that today. Carl, are you here? Were you here at the meeting?
Yes.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Let me read the comments, please. Site visit and story polls required. Submit neighborhood FAR study, provide landscape plan, elaborate on proposed landscape screening, restudy landscaping and reduce size of lawn areas, restudy driveway and driveway entrance, consider relocating driveway farther away from the property line, consider relocating and reorienting the garage, restudy massing of central element and fireplace. So I can summarize quickly, this plan has gone through significant alterations from the first time till today. William, I don't know if you're doing it, or Carl, the floor is yours, please.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. I'm going to have Carl cover the details, but I think we have made significant changes. Like you guys visited the site, so I think you were able to experience firsthand how nice the view can be there if the house is in the right spot on the lot. But we have made changes in how the driveway and garage works to respect the privacy of the neighbor to the south. And we've worked on the height that you guys had a concern with last time, and our FAR a bit as well. So I'll let Carl cover the details.
Great. Thank you, William. Yes, I think we've reduced the project in size by a number of ways. We reduced the square footage by almost 400 square feet, bringing the FAR from 116 down to now 106. We reduced the plate height from 14 feet on the bigger volume to 12 feet, reducing the overall height by about 3 feet. We did taper the fireplace, that chimney that is front of that of the street elevation, and we reduced the massing of that. We did reorientate the garage to remove that kind of pinch point.
Dave, can you get down to the site plan?
5, sheet
Yeah.
5.
That's, yes, thank you.
Actually,
ahead,
go to 7, I think. There you go. So we pushed the project back towards the west, allowing for more room in the front. We alleviated that pinch point by the garage by reorientating that and providing more screening on the south portion of that. And we reduced this plate height again by 2 feet and the overall height by 3 feet. And I think that's really it. We kind of shifted it a little bit to orientate towards the mountains and the site plan. There is on, let's see, a couple more pages on the elevations. You could see a street elevation. Correct, that's 9. Up on top there, there's a little elaborate, more detailed site elevation on that. So the trellis out in front kind of breaks down the scale of that. We tapered the fireplace to reduce the massing on that in the front and reduce the height and the orientation on that. And you can see from the site sections as well, kind of the relationship of the living room structure and the street. And another question was the reduction of to restudy the landscaping, reduce the size of the lawn. And Mark, are you available to comment on that?
We reduced the lawn by 25%, which ends up being about 20% of the overall planted area. We took out about 1,200 square feet of the lawn from our first pass. We also added more planting on the south property line. That was a request, and we agreed with, and with the new orientation of the garage, it allowed us, and the driveway, it allowed us to plant and a much better screen for the neighbors.
Okay. Did you guys have some renderings on this project? I can't remember. Carl?
We had some hand renderings on the first concept, and
Okay,
this
very
is
good.
more of a.
So are you done then, please?
Yes.
Thank you for that concise presentation. Questions, Elida?
Boy, no questions.
Bill?
Dave, could you go to 19 there, the landscape plan? So this is really kind of a early, rough, loose. Yeah, you don't have a lot of call outs. Are you adding a lot of planting there? Let's see, new fence, sandstone wall, new olive trees. So are you adding a lot of?
Almost all of the trees that are shown are new. There are a few existing trees along the property lines that we are keeping. I think there was only one oak tree that is in serious decline that our arborist, Duke McPherson, has recommended to be removed because it is in such a state of decline. And he recommended 3 24-inch box oak trees to mitigate that removal of the tree. And we expect to have more than the 3 24-inch box oaks to be introduced to the site.
And the street comes up to an existing sandstone 18-inch high, and then it levels off, and then you're adding another 5-foot plaster wall beyond that. Are those retaining also? That the one in the front, the 18-inch, is that retaining, and then the 5 foot sits on top of it? Is that, I guess, that elevation, if you have that front elevation somewhere of this from the street to show?
There is an existing wall in that location, the current home, and so we're kind of continuing that. But
does the 5 foot sit on top of the 18? You know what I mean? If it's
yes, it does. It does, because the site slopes up. So.
Got it. So it's so from the street. And did you have that street elevation somewhere? Did I see that?
Yeah, let me get back to that.
Number 9.
Carl, do you know what sheet?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so that is an existing plaster wall. There are 2 openings to the driveway, one to the south and one to the north. We are cutting off.
It's an existing plaster wall?
Yes.
Oh, so the 5 foot is existing and the 18 is existing.
That is correct, yes.
Oh, I thought it said new. Okay.
Portions of it are new. We're reconfiguring it at more of the south end in the new gate location, but there's also an entrance to the north that we are covering up.
And that plan will be to kind of green that up a little bit as well in front.
Yes, there's also a series of existing olive trees that are kind of in the front lawn right now that we will relocate to that area.
Got it. And your siding, is that a wood siding? I know stone I see, and then
We have a material board at sheet 1 or 2.
it's like a cedar or something, redwood?
Correct. That's correct.
Cedar board. And is it a treated, or are you doing a chipboard underneath, or?
We have a,
fire rating?
oh, we will do dense glass beneath it, and then a semi-transparent stain on top.
Does that give you the high fire rating?
Yes.
That's not, we don't care.
Yeah, I just was curious. Okay, all right, that was all. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Dave?
Okay.
No questions, thanks.
Pool equipment site plan. It's up there towards the top of the page. That looks like it has an enclosure. Could you please describe that enclosure? Just above the word cabana is where you have the pool equipment.
Yeah. So we have a cabana which has some height and some solid walls. So it's a, we would continue that wall around the equipment in order to help soundproof it.
So it'd be a minimum of 5 feet or so, 6 feet?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Cement plaster so that it really does the job, not just wood?
Uh-huh.
Okay, very good. Public comment. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 3? Hang on a second, I apologize. 607 Stone Meadow Lane.
I did notice that we have the property owner in as an attendee. I'm not sure if he wanted to say anything.
Anybody?
Looks like no.
Okay, close public comment. Comments, we're on for concept. Obviously, this came a long way. Elida, what do you think? Where should we go next, please?
Maybe even this came on before I joined on. From an aesthetic, this piece of property seems overbuilt with structures and hardscape, and like there's no garden left. I can see where there's some lawn around the pool and on this drawing, but there's the relationship between hardscape and building to garden troubles me. That's it.
Okay. Bill.
Yeah, I wanted to say I appreciate what you've done and the changes you've made and pulling the driveway up off that property line. I like that. That helps give a nice buffer. I've always thought the architecture was nice. I'm okay with everything you're proposing at this point. So yeah.
Is that it?
That's
Bill,
it.
is that
Yes,
it?
thank you. Yeah.
And where should we go next, please?
Preliminary, you're on for concept now, for the
Yeah,
concept.
he's on for
huh?
concept.
So preliminary final, if they can get enough details together for the next review.
Okay, David, please.
Yeah, after visiting the site today and seeing the historicals, I'm very comfortable with the layout. I appreciate as Bill just mentioned, the changes you've made to lessen the impact to the immediate neighborhood. I think it's a very nicely designed house. So I can support it for coming back for a preliminary final.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, I agree. I thought that Elida's comment, though, was quite interesting. In being supportive of this project, I'm wondering if you could take a look at ways to reduce some of this hardscape. For instance, to the east of the living room, there's a sitting area, and to the north, I think that east side could maybe be eliminated. I'm not quite sure what that room is out there just to the west, northwest of the living room, but again, there's a fairly large patio. I think that there may be ways to soften that up and make it a little bit nicer. Certainly, your landscape architect can explore options and present them to us. And I agree, I think it can come back for preliminary final. I am a little concerned that we don't have the landscape plan completely figured out at this point, nor are you required to. It's not like you misstepped here. And I'm wondering if we shouldn't do something more like preliminary, get that worked out, and then do final on consent. Would that be okay with everybody?
That's a good idea.
I agree with you, John, because you're right. The landscape isn't as far along.
But we're pretty darn good with the house, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so any questions, Carl? So back for preliminary, and then assuming that the landscape plan has been softened up, we will get you onto final ASAP under the consent calendar. Okay?
Great. No further questions.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Good job.
Thank you guys so much.
Item
Okay.
number 4 also has a quorum issue. So we're now on to item number 5. We will return to item number 2 and item number 4 probably in about a half an hour or so. Item number 5, 570 Meadowwood Lane. If members of the board remember, there are 2 projects side by side from this applicant. Tree lighting along paths has been reduced, and the model reload calculations and landscape quantities have been provided in response to previous review comments. So, David, are you here, please, or somebody else?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, excellent. So we have 2 separate items, 2 separate reviews, 2 separate motions. So, David, let's do item number 5, 570 to start with, please.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, members of the Montecito Board of Architecture Review. I'm David Parker. I'm the architect for this project. It is 1.45 acre site. We presented this to your board on November 3rd, and it was favorably received. At that meeting, you did request that we add spark arresters to the chimneys, which we've done. And we also had our arborist, Robert Maroka, update the tree report. Mark Tessier, the landscape architect, who's working with us, is here as well and can comment on the trees. What I would say before turning it over to him is that our intention is to retain all of the trees, but because 7 may be somewhat affected by the drive, we're proposing to proactively add 12 oaks for the 1 oak that may be affected and 18 sycamores for the 6 sycamores that may be affected. Mark, would you have any further comments?
No, yeah, we're trying to, I mean, the client purchased the site for a reason. A lot of it had to do with the trees. So preserving the existing trees at whatever cost, and then ensuring that the next generation of trees is there to sort of follow suit. So we're planting the sycamores in a way that they would naturally grow in groups of 2s and 3s, and basically creating sort of a overall environment, based supplementing what we currently have in terms of the oak grove and the sycamores. So yeah, it's sort of a non-issue. We're happy to sort of address those potential issues.
Okay. So did you want to just have us quickly thumb through the drawing so everybody can catch up? I did it earlier, so Dave, I think you.
Did you want me to comment on them?
David, we are on for both preliminary and final. We have reviewed this several times, so.
Yes, we've made no changes to the building, except adding the spark arresters. The materials, we've gone over all of this before. I think all of the members of the commission were happy with this, but I'm eager to answer any questions if you have any additional questions.
So Dave, are you just gonna thumb through?
Yeah, I'm going through them. Let me know if you want me to stop.
Bill, did you have a chance to review these?
I did. I had a question on L 2.0.
Okay, we'll get back to questions here in a second.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's it, John.
Okay, excellent. So Are you guys done with your presentation then, please?
I think we are, yes.
Okay. Questions? Bill, you seem to want to get started on this, so let's get you going here.
Yeah, L 2.0, Dave, that was down at the bottom of that set there. Not a couple sheets up, like 31 or is
Or 29 maybe? That one?
Let's see.
Is that it?
Yeah. I was just having a little trouble. Yeah, tree mount. So your tree mounted downlights, it looks like you have only 2?
No,
3, 4.
no.
Oh.
There are about 6 or 8 of them.
Oh.
On
We have a total of 6 tree mounted downlights on 570. We reduced it by about 50% from our previous middle.
And they're around walking paths and driving paths, it looks like. And then so that's the small triangle, and then the octagon there that you have.
Path light.
Are path lights, okay.
Correct.
They're about 18 inches high.
Okay, that was the only question I had. Yeah.
Okay, excellent, thank you. Dave.
Bill covered my question.
Elida.
Mark, can I ask about the oaks and the sycamores that you'll be pulling out? Are these mature specimen, healthy trees that are being pulled? And I know you're doing mitigating replanting of the same species, but are these big, beautiful oaks and big, beautiful sycamores we're pulling?
We're not removing any. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, none are proposed to be removed, but because of the fire lane and a few other developments, mainly relating to fire, accessing the property and the subgrade that's required to support the fire truck load, some trees are potentially impacted. In working with the arborist, it's a little bit sad. I mean, the trees were significantly impacted by the floods, and so they've had 5 years to recover, and we've been sort of nurturing them back to health as much as we can. But they are, in their entirety, they're quite beautiful. But I would say that there are none of the trees after the floods could be defined as the kind of significant stature that you're sort of referencing. But the hope is that we will be able to preserve all of them. And working with our arborist, he has a lot of tricks up his sleeve. And so the hope is that we don't lose any, but in the end, we are still adding a few new young ones to sort of, again, provide sort of the next generation of oaks in this area.
Okay, well, do the best you can. Some of these are lovely. The photo, the far left photo, I hope that guy's not going. Anyway, and just be sensitive. Yeah, that would break my heart. Just be sensitive to.
We're incredibly sensitive.
Okay.
And I think some of the photographs you're looking at are showing how we have been able to sort of bring them back over the years. Because their leaf canopies are much more full and much more substantial than when we first started the project.
The ones that you are commenting on in this particular image, that's not one of the trees that would be affected.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay, I saw a WELO statement. I did not see a WELO calc. Did I miss it, please? Do you know what a WELO calc is?
It should be the latter part of the set on the irrigation plan.
Might be page 33 down there. No, it's 34.
There it is, green.
Very good, thank you. And can you zoom in on that a little bit, please? Okay, thank you very much. I missed that, I apologize. Okay, so public comment. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on 570 Meadowwood Lane, please?
We do have one speaker, Armando Goncalves.
Okay, Armando, please.
Armando actually is part of my team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Never mind then. Thank
And
you.
before we go on, there was a memo which was attached to this project, which I wrote down should be read. Can we get out to that, David, please?
I'm sorry, John, what do you?
There's a memo that was in the box folder for this project. Yeah, and okay, so what does it say? Tree lighting along paths has been reduced and MWE locales and landscape quantities have been provided in response. Okay, excellent. Okay, so comments back in the same order, please. They are on for both preliminary and final. Bill, please.
Yeah, I appreciate you winding the road, is trying to miss the trees as best you can. So I think that's great. Thank you for doing that. The architecture, I'm fine with. The house is great, no problem. Details are complete. This tree lighting, though, I think is still above and beyond maybe what I would normally allow, mostly because they're spread out around the perimeter, it looks like, and it'll bleed out into the neighbors. I know you're one of the neighbors, but I would be concerned that maybe you could reduce, by half even more the tree lights that you have there. And we would certainly want you to keep the heights of those no taller than 12 feet in the branches. So I could approve everything except I think the exterior tree down lights. Everything else is
Bill,
great.
there are currently 6. What number are you thinking we should end up with, please?
I mean, I think you could do 3 or 4 and be fine, I don't think you need that
3.
many.
Okay, 3 or 4. May I cut you off at that point?
Yes.
David, please, comments, please. We are on for a preliminary final.
Yeah, I like the architecture and the very sensitive site planning. I really appreciate that you're preserving the trees and also augmenting them with the new planting. So I think it's a great project, but like Bill mentioned, my issues with the tree lighting, and in my case, I can't support tree lighting on this property because all of it's around the perimeter. It's a very small lot, and just the potential for visibility, and I just don't think it's appropriate given our design guidelines. So I can support the project wholeheartedly, but I cannot support the tree lighting.
Is that it?
Yep.
A lighter, please.
No comments.
Yeah, this board has really found lighting to be an issue. I think Bill is being too generous. I think Dave is probably, if we're going to maintain and preserve the semi-rural low intensity, Dave's probably right. I believe there are ways maybe to get 1 or 2 right at the driveway in the middle of the site to help announce the house. There's a couple of trees right there, or at least 1 tree. Would that be acceptable to you to maybe get it down to 2 right in the middle of the property near your entry? Gentlemen, David, would that be acceptable?
Yes, we would be amenable to that.
Would other members agree with that too? 2 tree lights right at the entry along the driveway. Is that acceptable?
I'm good with that.
Elida?
Yeah, that's fine.
And David?
Yeah, that's it for me.
That's it for you too?
Yeah. Oh, no, I'll support that, but no more.
Okay, very good. Can you focus right in on the right there and and a little bit to the left, because the driveway is off on the left. Okay, so there's a word boulders there. That's a tree right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there another tree light there, or are we really going to be left with that one, David?
You're asking me, Mark, could you comment?
I think basically just at the top of the screen, there's one downlight currently shown. And then we could add one near the boulder, as you mentioned, or to the right of that. I would probably, I think in that general area would be acceptable.
It looks to me like you've only got the truly functional one at the boulder. Is that correct or not? We don't want to see them along the perimeter.
Understood.
So I would say another good location would be at the bottom of the screen, just below, directly below where you have the boulder note, where you saw the boulder note, right there. Oh, that was our cursor, sorry. So although David, not to talk in front of everyone as part of the design team, but do you think that the two lights is even needed, or would we potentially just say, you know what, let's just stick with the path lights, low key ground plane illumination, and remove all the of the tree mounted downlights?
I think that would be fine.
I would like to make a motion for preliminary and final as submitted with the elimination of all tree light, all, what do you guys call those? Tree mounted downlights. Is there a second for that motion, please?
I'll second that motion.
Is there any further discussion, please? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you, gentlemen. Let's go to your joining, and lady. I don't see a name there. Let's go to number 6. Again, we're on for preliminary final. 590 Meadowwood Lane. So tree lights, let's see, is this the next one too?
Yes.
Okay, so basically the same comment as before. Can we go to from the planner?
This is the planner.
I know, excuse me, can we go
Go
to
with it.
the plans?
Plans, yes.
Okay, David, you're on again, please.
Yes, thank you, commissioners. I'm David Parker, representing the owners of 590. This is a 2-acre parcel. The house that we're proposing to build is relatively small, a little over 2,900 square feet. And we presented this at your November 3rd hearing. It was very favorably received. The one comment on the architecture suggestion, we add spark arresters, which we've done. Other than that, we have again, even though there will be on this site one sycamore that is being removed for the driveway, and we're planting the 9 sycamores to replace it, and then we are also proactively planting 12 oak trees. And maybe Mark Tessier, who is our landscape architect, could comment further.
So we're able to sort of get the fire lane to work pretty well in this location. There's no oaks that are specifically in peril, but we are proposing some new oaks being planted. And yeah, I think positioning of the buildings was easy to work with the existing trees, but of course the fire lane is always sort of the challenge. So one is unfortunately being removed. But I think that the 9 new ones that'll be planted as 24s will grow in quite beautifully and sort of, again, provide sort of the next generation that is also important. And then in terms of lighting, just to head that off of the past, we would like both properties to sort of read the same. So I would say that all downlights would be removed from this application as well.
So David, do you want to just leaf through the drawings? that it? Okay.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, excellent.
Here's the Wheelo, just in case.
Thank you. Now that we know where to find it, thank you. Okay. Are you done, David and Mark?
We are.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Elida?
No questions.
Bill?
Nothing.
David?
No questions, thanks.
And I have none either. Public comment. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 6, 590 Meadowwood Lane, please?
John, I see no hands.
Thank you very much. Okay, so comments. We are on for, excuse me, comments. We're on for preliminary and final as well. Are we ready for a motion or?
Yes. Yes.
Somebody want to make it eliminating the tree lights?
Yeah, I'll move to give this preliminary and final approval as submitted with the exception that they remove all the tree lights from the landscape plan.
Is there a second, please?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nice job, guys. Good luck. And girl.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Kevin,
Thank you.
Kevin, are you with us, please? Kevin? Item number 7.
I am here.
Okay, so
Fired up. Okay.
So just to reiterate, item number 2 and 4 have not been heard yet because we have quorum issues. So we are now up to item 7. We will continue in order until one of our members shows back up, which should be in about 10 minutes. Kevin, it looks like you did a fairly important reduction in size of the project.
We did.
Our comments were provide conceptual grading plan, concerned about the amount of grading and paving proposed, concerned about the mass, bulk, and scale of the addition, rendering 3D models would assist in the view, provide a landscape plan. So you are on for further concept. Please.
I think we're missing a round of comments there. So we were here on November 3rd.
Nice project, well cited, reduce or eliminate tree lighting. Provide conceptual grading plan. I only have comments from 310.
Yeah, we're missing one there. As is
I can
David.
pull those up. Just give me just one sec.
Perfect. Because we had addressed those for the most part, and the remaining comments had to do with the amount of hardscape required for the driveway turnaround in front of the detached garage and ADU. So unfortunately, in order to move this along, we have had to eliminate the detached garage and ADU at this time. So that's no longer part of the scope of the project, which means that the driveway essentially can stay as is. And so we're not adding additional hardscape in that area, which was a
Kevin, let me
concern.
just interrupt. Nice architecture. MBAR has significant concerns regarding the amount of hardscape and the layout of the detached garage and driveways. Thank you very much. So the floor is now yours.
Dave,
Okay.
you can, I stopped sharing so you can go back to the plans.
Sure, got it.
Thank you.
Okay, so if we could just flip to the site plan, which I think is like page 8 or 9. Here we go. So existing plan, proposed plan. So previously in that little bench, empty bench area between the house and Sycamore Canyon Road, we had proposed a detached garage and ADU. And leading to that, there was this sort of large area of hardscape and combination of paving and pavers. And with the elimination of that garage and ADU, we don't need to provide access to that area any longer. So while we're doing some grading in that area to just firm up the site walls below the pool. We're not proposing to build anything within that area anymore. So we're really left with the house and the pool is the scope of the work. And the only change has been to leave the garage, the attached garage that you can see here on the left, kind of the left appendage sticking out of the residence. That will stay as is. And the design remains the same, materials remain the same, exterior lighting is the same. The landscape plan just adapted to leave the existing mulch in place where the proposed garage was going to be located. So if we want to flip to the elevations, you can see where we're at with that's the existing and proposed. So same materials as last time, plaster for the most part, stone feature at the chimney and the entry volume, new entry volume. Otherwise, a standing seam roof throughout and dark framed doors and windows, steel or steel esque, and that's really it.
Are you done?
Unless our landscape architect would like to chime in.
I'm here for questions. Nothing has really changed
Okay.
except for what you've mentioned of the hardscape is significantly reduced.
Great.
Okay, questions from the board. Elida, please.
Dave, can we go back to the proposed site? Perfect. Refresh my memory. What is the tan hatched material? What is, I can't, the designation is small. I can't read it. So I can see area, but I don't know what that is.
Mulch, existing mulch area.
Uh-huh. Wow, lot of mulch. No questions.
Bill, questions?
Yeah, my question was kind of along the same lines. Just mulch, is there going to be future plants in there or any plant separating the mulch from the driveway or
I think
just,
there might be a future plant called an ADU.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a new species.
yeah.
Exactly. It's existing to remain basically that whole front area. It's kind of the second phase of the project. Right now, it's just existing to remain all in the front.
Right. And we don't know if they're going to pursue an ADU in the future or not. At this time, it just doesn't make sense for them to do that. So they're going to try and leave that area alone as much as they can.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
David.
Yeah, along those same lines, just to confirm, there isn't any new grading proposed in that area. That pad in that area is existing and you're leaving it alone.
Correct.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
About 2-3 months ago, we had a public comment actually right at the top of the agenda, noting how reflective certain metal roofs are. Do you know enough about this metal roof to know whether or not it's reflective or dull or something like that, please?
We've used the same product in a project in Hope Ranch with success. It has essentially a matte finish on it that takes the reflection down even further. So this not only is dark, it also has a little bit of a matte finish on it.
Okay. And you'd be able to provide us some technical references during the final approval, please?
Yes.
Okay. I have a second question, PDF number 2, please. FAR worksheet, please, upper left-hand corner of the worksheet. Size of lot in gross acres, 42,000 acres?
I wish it was. No,
Okay.
that's the square footage. For some reason, it's
Okay, so that should be 0.93, and to the right, That should be an N. Isn't that correct? You are not in the, it's
Page
an,
one.
take my word for it, it's an N.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so maybe you can correct that. Okay, public comment, please. Item number 7, 2176 Sycamore Canyon Road. Is there anybody that would like to address the board, please?
I don't see any hands, John.
Okay, we are on for further concept. What should we do? Where should we go? How do we feel? Alida, please.
I don't know why we can't just move on to preliminary and final on this. I don't
Full
know.
board or consent?
Oh,
So, John, this is on for further conceptual and preliminary. That's how it's agendized.
Ah, I didn't underline preliminary. I apologize. Okay, so Alida, are you ready for preliminary approval?
yes.
Any other comments, please?
No.
Okay, Bill, please.
Yeah, architecture looks great. Fine with preliminary approval, and if you felt comfortable, we could do final on consent, but there's a lot of details that might need to be seen. So what does everybody think?
Okay, let's find out. David?
Yeah, I can support preliminary approval, but do you have a material board or something somewhere?
We do. We do. It's a separate PDF that was
Oh, that's
uploaded.
why. Okay. Maybe we should take a look at that.
Yes,
That would be the
please.
one thing for preliminary that I'd want to see. I'm not seeing it
I
here.
thought I saw it this morning.
I mean, this is kind of the materials here on this sheet we're seeing.
Well, this is a landscape. I was just,
Yeah.
Did you
I
go-
assume all the materials are fine, but I didn't, as far as preliminary approval, we usually have that in.
Mhm.
There's the light fixture.
There's an
There's a
index here, I
material
guess.
index, but that's not.
Yeah, we have a separate PDF, so I don't know if David's able to dig around and find that. We'd sure
No.
love to nail this down today, because
Well, I think based on this index, I can support that as long as it's coming back for final on consent and that's reviewed. But I think these materials are appropriate, just having the actual material board.
I thought I saw
Because
it,
your
Kevin.
elevations are a little diagrammatic.
I thought I saw it, maybe not. Okay, David, are you done?
Yes.
I also agree. I think this is a nice project. I think you've done a really nice job, simple, clean. The materials will be important. They might get altered at final, but chances are not. So who would like to make a motion for preliminary approval with the project to go onto the consent calendar, please?
I'll make a motion for preliminary approval for it to return to final on consent.
Is there a second, please?
I'll second that.
I asked for public comment, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor, please?
Aye.
All those opposed? Tip, are you with us? He was supposed to be here at 2:30. Tip?
I don't see
Okay.
him yet.
Okay,
Hey, thank you,
ready at
guys.
2:45. I just got a text from him. Okay, so.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Kevin. See you back here on consent. Item number 8, 43 Humphrey Road. Planner comments. Yeah, there is a. Okay, so this project has a modification request for the front yard setback. And we need to make findings for that if we're going to approve it. And that is laid out here. And then, of course, we have the regular project. And I believe there's a comment letter. Is that correct? One comment letter?
Yes, there is.
Okay. Mr. Rabin continues to be concerned. Okay, so let's go through the project. Then we will look at the modification request. It has to do with how much they're encroaching in the front yard setback for the garage. Then we will go to Mr. Rabin's letter and we'll go from there. So Majority of board believes project is acceptable. Modest proposal given, no, we changed these. So the way this was officially, the minutes officially came down is majority of the board believes project is acceptable given site constraints. One member does not support the building height due to impact to neighbors. Okay, so Danny, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here, and I think Sam Maphis should be on as well.
Okay, Sam, are you with us? Please, Sam? Okay, well, we can certainly get started without it. We are familiar with this project. We could not give you an approval because it was agendized for consent last time. Have you made any changes at all to this, please?
We've just added exterior lighting plans, and we've are requesting approval for an 8-foot high fence between the neighbor to the south as requested by that neighbor, which would go along with the other 8-foot fences that we previously presented to you.
And that would require a modification going to the Planning Commission, correct?
Yes.
Kimberly.
Don, I believe if this is, the fencing is within the side yard setback,
Yes.
it's okay under a land use permit. It would not need a conditional use permit.
Even in the front yard setback?
In the front yard setback, it will need a conditional use permit.
So
it would not be 8 feet in the front.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Kimberly. Okay, so site light, members of the board, do we need to go through all of the drawings again or not, please?
I don't think so. I think we've seen this.
David, Mendro,
No.
Elida?
No.
Okay. Okay, so let's go to the lighting plan, since you said that that was one thing that you had not presented before.
Yeah, it's what PDF?
You know the PDF page?
It's page 16 on the PDF. Unfortunately, the plan is scaled real small. Just if you can zoom in, sorry about that.
I thought it was on Sam's plan.
Yeah, so these are kind of the ones attached to the building, just at the exterior doors. One downlight B fixture in the underneath the roof. So pretty modest on the building, and then the fixture itself. There's a question there that looks like a light bulb. It's a faux light bulb with the actual LED. It's a dark sky compliant bulb with the LED light tucked up under the hood. The bulb is there just so it looks normal during the day. It doesn't look unusual. So it is compliant. And so
Sam Maphis also has it on his landscape plans, tree lighting and things like that. Can you please go to that?
I'm not sure what number that is, Dave, but
it's in the plan set there. I think it's page 20.
In the same set? Okay.
Yes. I think it's 22, page 22.
22.
Yeah, and Sam,
Okay.
how many tree lights do you have, please? Let's just focus in right on that, please.
blow that up, John. I don't think many.
You have three,
we've
I
got
think.
mostly path lights that you can see along the little entry path. We've got under step tread step lights for low kind of going up and down the grade. We have one in the palm tree shining on the patio that is directly in the middle of the patio between the garage and the house. That'll be one of those that's either screwed into the trunk or strapped, and it'll be pointing downward and shielded So that could be at a 10-foot height or 12-foot height, pointing directly down on that patio. I think that's, as I recall, that's the only one. We have another.
No, you have
light
one
on
at the trash enclosure,
That's going to be, that'll be a 6-foot fence, and it's just to light up the area in general. So if someone's in there, they can see if there's anything crawling around while they're loading the cans.
Mounted on the fence, not
Mounted on the fence, pointing down. Yeah. So I think that's it. The rest are path lights. There's and the fixtures are up above. The only other light is a little cylinder you see in the middle of the fixture pictures. That is in a little arbor that's right at the front gate. And it's shielded, and the fixture is well within, up inside the tube. And it just allows a little bit of light as you're coming in right at the gate underneath that trellis. Arbor.
Anything else, Danny or Sam, please?
I think that's it.
Okay, while we're on this plan, because it's shown right here, there's a garage in the upper right-hand corner. It's kind of a taupe color, and there's a vertical dashed line that's going through it. The modification request is to permit the garage to the right-hand side of that. That's what the request is about, right there. Okay,
Yes.
Isn't that correct, Danny?
That's correct. Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so before we get into, what does the board want? There's some fairly comprehensive information about the modification request that we must make. Do we want to deal with that before questions or after questions, please?
Well, after questions, after public comment, I suppose.
Okay, very good. So, Elida, questions? I know that you are not a strong supporter of this project or have not been in the past. Elida?
No, I've said all I have to say about this project.
Okay. I love her succinctness. David, please.
Are we in questions or comments?
We are in questions, please.
I don't have any questions.
And Bill.
Is the gravel parking area there at the bottom, is that also part of the modification request?
Yes, I think technically that's correct because it's a two car off-street parking requirement, and that would fulfill one of the spots. And it's kind of it is the existing parking area. We've just shifted it away from the side yard to.
So I know there's a list that we'll go through, John, but the garage, so we would normally need 2-car covered.
No, not in the coastal zone.
Oh, you don't? Okay. All right.
One can be uncovered. Kimberly, both uncovered in the coastal zone?
In the coastal zone, you can be covered or uncovered, either one.
Oh.
Okay, anything else, Bill?
No other questions.
Okay, I have a question. Can we go to the material board, please? I think it's a separate sheet.
Yeah, it's A3. Yeah.
Okay. Down, keep going down. Wall finish, white painted. That's sort of all-encompassing, potentially getting you in a lot of trouble. Can you talk a little bit about that white painted board, please?
Yeah, the intention is to be, an off-white, earth-toned, warm white that would complement the sandstone and give it a sort of antiqued look that complements the kind of charm of the design and neighborhood, kind of the beach cottage, vintage.
With an LRV at 0.84 or below?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. We have a comment letter. Mr. Rabin, I hope I'm not mashing your name. Are you here to address the board?
Yeah, he's here.
Would you like to present so that we don't have to go through and read this again? Or would you like me to read it, please? And have you, your comments?
Muted. Mr. Rabin, are you muted?
It's pronounced Rabin.
Rabin.
Oh, okay.
I apologize. Mr. Rabin, are you here?
I wonder if he stepped away from the computer or something.
Okay, well, the bottom line on this is that he said that he felt that there was at least potential deception being presented by the applicant because they only addressed the reduction in size of the upper window facing his property, claiming that the window area had been reduced 45, and noted that the lower window or windows were not included in that calculation. So he felt that perhaps it was just an oversight, but he said all the windows facing my property are important to me.
The study to respond was, this is what we presented to you last time. And it was specifically a second story window study, being that the second story was the area of concern with the two neighbors to the west and the south. And it was specifically related to the second story, and the numbers there are what they say they are. Second floor south and west facade window area reduction of 73.25 square feet, reduction of 45%.
Okay, so one last shot, Mr. Rabin. Okay, I'm going to close public comment. Obviously, he continues to be concerned about this. Now, let's go through the modification request, and the part of this letter basically says that we're going to go to the planning commission because it's in the coastal zone, but this board must make these findings and vote for preliminary approval prior to going to the Montecito Planning Commission. Okay, so Dave, can you just go down a little bit farther? Let me see how large this is. Okay, so let me just read the whole darn thing. Okay. Okay, so planner comments, modification. The project will allow for the construction of the one-car garage to be located partially within the standard front yard setback.
on me?
Oh, I think that's Mr. Rabin.
Mr. Rabin, we attempted to have you speak. Are you back with us, please?
These were 650.
Mr.
Oh,
Rabin?
I think it's me.
What?
Yes, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, I did read your letter. Do you have additional comments, please?
Yeah, the main comment that I have was in that letter, of course, that it wasn't the first floor and the second floor that they reduced the windows. So I'm still going to have light pollution. The first floor, of course, is higher. And then, you know, the first floor now it starts at 4 feet. So the windows are up over the fence. And you could see that in the illustration. And when you look at the hedge that they said they were going to thicken up, well, just to this day, I mean, that's something they could have done and said they mentioned they'd start that perhaps, but nothing's been done. So my concern is both floors need that 45% reduction in windows for my privacy and for no light pollution. And at the hedge doesn't do anything. It's so sparse in between. You can see everything. We have no privacy. It's staring down on us from the first floor and the second floor. And that's my primary issue right now. I've given into the second floor, you know, even though I'm opposed to it, but, you know, I understand their footprint they felt was too small. And that's my primary comments. And I would really appreciate something being done about both those issues.
Is that the end of your comments, please? Mr. Rabin, is that the end of your
Yes,
comments, please?
that's
Thank
the end of my comment. Yeah,
Thank you very much. Okay.
sure. Thank you.
I do not want to start a back and forth. I will not permit a back and forth. Danny, can you make a additional accommodation or not, please?
I mean, there's
On the lower floor, on the lower
there's one
floor-
window on the lower floor there, that's kind of a 3-part window. And I think that can be reduced in concept. There's, we're also trying to get light into the house as well. And there's a big hedge there, which if you see the photos to the top left are actually quite mature, and we're going to thicken those. So
so you're not willing to make a specific proposal today, please?
I just, the intention is to not have visibility between the two properties. And so I don't know the benefit of reducing that single story window.
Okay, I want to keep this project moving. Tip, you're back with us. You have recused yourself in the past from this project. Are you part of this project or not, please?
Well, since I missed out the presentation, perhaps I should stay out, but.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, so let's go to the modification, which is where we were. I'm going to close public comment. Let's go back to the modification memo, please. The project will allow for the construction of the one-car garage to be located partially within the standard front yard setback of the parcel. The modification would result in the reduction of the standard front yard setback from 20 to 16.5 feet from the edge of the right-of-way and will allow the property to accommodate the required 2 off-street parking spaces to serve the new single-family dwelling. 1 uncovered parking space will be provided in the southeast portion of the lot. The 265 one-car garage will be located north of the existing uncovered space and approximately 36.5 feet from the center line of Humphrey Road. The modifications require design review approval pursuant to that section, which states the project shall be subject to the provision of this additional code section and shall be scheduled to be heard by the Board of Architectural Review for preliminary review and approval only before the project being heard by the zoning administrator, which in Montecito is the Planning Commission. The project must receive preliminary approval, and the Montecito Board of Architectural Review must make the following finding prior to action of the modification. The modification is minor in nature and will result in a better site or architectural design as approved by the Board of Architectural Review in compliance with a given code section, and or will result in greater resource protection than the project without such a modification. Okay, grading. The grading quantities have been updated to include approximately 50 cubic yards of cut and 547 cubic yards of fill. Okay, so I think we're at comments, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So comments, Elida, please.
No comment.
Okay, and you continue to be concerned about this project?
Yes.
Okay. David, please.
John, I wasn't here for the last meeting, so I'd like to hear the other comments before I.
Bill?
Yeah, I can approve the project as submitted, and I can support the modification because of 2 things, and maybe I need a little bit of support as well, but it is a constrained lot. We see it's a 1-car garage. It's not a 3-car garage. They're trying to maintain existing trees and plantings that are there that are significant. I believe that the neighborhood probably has a precedent set for similar garages at that setback potentially, but I'm not certain of that. It would be nice to know if that was the case. I think they've done a wonderful job of landscaping and screening it and making it feel compatible with the neighborhood. So I can support what they've shown. I think in response to the neighbors' concern of light pollution, I certainly think the 8-foot fence is going to make a difference on that side, as well as the thickening of that hedge. So I'm hoping that that both the owner and the neighbor can come to an agreement with how to supplement his concern for light pollution on that end. Everything else is as we had kind of modified and worked, and it is a constrained lot. They've got a driveway that takes away a good part of their usable area with an easement that runs down through it. So, and I don't think they're, I think it's compatible with the neighborhood. So those are my comments.
Yeah, my comments are the following. The world is changing down in this area because of the flood. And as projects come through, they are going to be lifted 2, 3, 4 feet, maybe 5 feet in some cases, through no desire or embracing by the applicant, because the height limit is still being enforced based on the original grade. So this is not something to be joyful about from a homeowner's point of view. I think that we are not, the community plan and the architectural guidelines do not say there will be no impacts from future development on existing development. I think this project is tall. I think that Mr. Rabin's project, who has been the most vocal neighbor, is also tall, maybe not quite as tall, but certainly very close. I think that his property is not exactly, but pretty darn close to the same offsets, same setbacks as this project. It is a constrained lot. I think the architecture is very nice. I think it's been done very well. I think the real bottom line problem here is not the architecture, but the site planning. It seems to me that it's modest in nature, given the incredible constraints, and I think that they've done a good job with that. So I am willing to support this. I think that the coastal zone is a little funky, to say the least, and kind of designed to be that way. It was one of the original sections of Montecito to be developed, and anomalies like buildings a little bit too close to the road are not anomalies down here. As everybody that knows me, I was extremely concerned about a hedgerow project that was close to the front yard setback. I am not here because I think it's just part of the character of this community. So I am willing to support that and vote for this project. Having said that, David, it is your turn.
Okay, yeah, I can support the project for the reasons that both Bill and you mentioned, and that it is in the interest of good design on a very constrained lot. And I would encourage the applicant to work with the neighbor to demonstrate how the fence and the new landscaping will help screen the impacts of those windows on the first floor.
Okay, so now I want to ask a procedural question, maybe Kimberly. It looks like we're going to have a 3-1 vote in favor of this project. This project is going to the Planning Commission anyway. Does it make any difference if Mr. Rabin really doesn't like this project to appeal our approval, or would he have the same standing in front of the Planning Commission if he did not appeal the project?
I believe it would be the same standards in front of the Planning Commission, but we never want to persuade anybody not to file an appeal if they feel it is necessary. He does have the right to appeal the BAR's action. We have at times stayed the appeal hearings until the follow-up, the other action has occurred, but it is entirely up to the applicant. The findings, the reasons
Up
for
to
the
the
appeal will
neighbor.
be identical.
It's up to the neighbor, not the applicant.
Yeah, I'm sorry, up to the neighbor, excuse me, the neighbor can file the appeal. And it's up to them. The areas of concern, the areas of contention in terms of the findings are going to be identical based both BAR and the modification.
Okay, so Mr. Rabin, that I hope gives you a little bit clearer understanding of any future path that you might want to take. I see 3 people voting for this project. I see 1 person recusing and 1 person opposed. We'll see how that actually works out. Who would like to make a motion for this project with the modification findings that need to be made for preliminary? Anybody?
I can do that. Do we need the wording though, as they?
I think we can reference the wording and ask that it be inserted into the motion.
I can support the modification to allow the garage to sit in the front yard setback for the reasons that it's a constrained lot, that the structure is small.
Bill, it's on the screen right there. The modification is minor nature.
Yes. Modifications minor nature and result in a better site and architectural design as approved by the Board of Architectural Review in compliance with section 35-184. And to add again that again it's minor nature, small structure, constrained lot, and
there's neighborhood precedent.
and I believe there's neighborhood precedent set, although I'm not certain of that. But
I think we should leave it out unless we know as a fact.
Sure. Okay.
Okay, now I want to ask one further question. Kimberly, Bill correctly asked the question, does the uncovered parking space also require a modification? Please.
Yes, if they need to park in the front yard setback, that requires a modification as well.
So Bill, so this memo is actually incorrect. So Bill, can you make it the garage and the uncovered parking place, please?
Yes, so to correct that, the modification request for the single car garage and the 1-car open uncovered parking space to be allowed to be set in the setback, front yard setback. I believe, are you outside of the side yard setback too on that one?
Yes.
You are, okay. So
Yeah, we improved the existing parking and expanded it out of the side yard.
Okay, do we have a second, please?
I will second the motion.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
And Tip recuses
You
himself.
recuse.
So I believe the vote is 3-1-0, 3-1-1. Okay? Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, Ken Radke, are you here, please, for Westmont?
Thank you all.
Thank you. Ken Radke, are you here for item number 2, please? Westmont. Ken or somebody else? Westmont?
I see Ray here, but
I don't care who it is. Is there somebody here?
There's somebody raising their hand.
I'll promote Haley.
Okay, I have a conflict with this project. Tip, would you like to take it? Bill, you want to take the chairmanship?
Yeah, I will take over. Thank you.
Okay, I am
John.
recusing myself.
Okay. So we are back on item number 2, Westmont Golf Enclosure, 955 La Paz Road, and this project is here for conceptual review and preliminary final approval. And I believe this is the first hearing we have. So is the applicant online?
Yeah, can everybody hear me? Okay.
Yeah, can you, okay, let me see now. The planner had some comments. Let me read it first. So 2019 land use permit was issued for an 8,000 square foot artificial turf golf practice area, 1530 cover patio, 210 soil structure and associate. Let me apply to. So the land use permit was applied to thing to the enclosed spaces previously approved as cover spaces, resulting in an addition of 734 square feet to the previously approved 210 square foot storage structure for a total of 944 square feet. However, the initial land use permit expired prior to building permit issue, so the full project is before the board again. All right, so Ray, you are with
Yeah, well, with Blackbird Architects, Ken couldn't make it today.
Yeah, so go ahead.
Thank you for your time today. So yeah, this project was reviewed by the board in 2019 and approved. We proceeded and pulled a building permit, and the school's been working to start construction. In the meantime, a new golf coach was hired and has requested some revisions. So we're here sharing with you those revisions, which were highlighted in the planner's notes. If we jump to the next page, what we have here today is comparing the two. So the top floor plan is what was approved before. It was essentially a storage room that's enclosed, and then there were 3 open bays that were covered by a low slope shed roof. 2 steel columns were supporting that and some glulam beams. Westmont's request is to essentially just enclose those 3 bays now. And so we've added a wall to the back of the bays, a wall to the right side of bay 3, and then a wall at the front lower where you see 3 garage doors that are being added to be able to open that up. And then we've added some doors to off the side of the bay 3 for access. There's a window that got added to that back wall at the end of the slot wall that's there. If we jump to the elevations, this sheet, it was the original approved design, open air sort of shed roof. And then the proposed design is the next page, which is simply just enclosing those 3 bays and adding access with the garage doors and the swing doors. So I'll leave it at that unless there's any questions.
Thank you. So you're done with your presentation?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Question from board members, Aleida?
No questions.
Thank you. Bill?
So just to clarify, this wasn't built yet, is that right? And so you've gotten the land use permit for the unenclosed, and now you're coming back in and really just getting a permit to enclose it, but it hadn't been built yet. Is that correct?
Correct. We pulled land use permit and also a building permit, and we're planning to start, but with the changes are coming back to just get that approved and then go back to the building department with those revisions as well.
So you're here for all of it, preliminary and conceptual and all of it and final, and you didn't include details though yet, so you're okay with getting what you can get today?
We didn't include details. They are essentially exactly the same. Nothing has changed as far as that's concerned, with the exception of there's a window now instead of just door. We had door details, but it's the same aluminum profiles and would be very similar. So yeah, we did not include those today.
But you have those, and those were approved, you said, with a building permit. So
yeah, those were approved with the in 2019. The MASEP included those, and those were approved, and we have a building permit for that. But yeah.
And again, the only thing that changes your infill, and you've got now a header and a jamb detail for the roll-up doors and the folding doors, or the bifold, or not bifolds, but swinging doors. That's about all that's different.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That was all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. Dave?
I just want to chime in that we did submit a material board, if that's what you're referring to.
Thank you. Dave?
Yeah.
Just to clarify, the garage doors are new.
Yes.
Okay, so that's part of the new enclosure. Okay, and then the material board. Okay, that was my question, Tip. Thanks.
Thank you, Dave. Okay, so we are going to open public comment. Do we have anyone in the audience? Kimberly?
Randy Jones is here from Westmont. I'm not sure if Randy, if you want to speak, go ahead and raise your hand. You may just be listening in.
Okay.
I don't see a hand.
Thank you. So we are going to close public comment and back to the board. And this project is here for, I think, everything preliminary, conceptual, and final. And one of the question I have that since I know that this has been approved already way back a couple of years ago, but as a current application, we don't have any details. Am I right?
We didn't include them, but it's the same sheet. Essentially, we can do that if that would be helpful. Yeah, it would be the same sheet.
Yeah, because for final approval, I think we have, because it's considered to be a new application, we probably need to have a complete set of drawings and with lighting and everything. But let's go through the comment from board members first. Let's start with Alida.
No comments.
Can you support the project?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Bill?
Yeah, I support what they're doing. I don't know if there's a way to condition this that says that, existing details to match previous permit. I don't know about the windows and the doors, the new headers, but I would imagine they would do it right. It's up to the other members, but I could give it final approval with some condition, maybe, if that's a possibility. We can even do that.
Okay. Kimberly, can we do that?
Yes, I believe we can just have them add that comment onto the final plan set and approve that plan set with that information.
Okay. And Dave?
Yeah, I think the changes they're proposing are consistent with the original approval, and it's not changing the mass bulk and scale, and aesthetically it looks good. So I can definitely support the project. I'd suggest it comes back for final on consent with the details, just to make sure that they're good. But I don't see any issues here. I think it's a nice project.
Okay, so would someone want to make a motion for conceptual, preliminary, and final approval with the conditions?
Is that what, Dave, is that what you had intended?
No, if I was going to make I'd give it conceptual. I give it preliminary approval with final on consent, just to confirm the revised details for the garage doors and the changes they're making.
I think that's fine, because I don't think it's going to hold them up there. You're already submitted maybe to building department anyway.
We haven't. We're hopefully doing that right after this. But yeah, that works. The detail sheet's ready. We can put that together and resubmit it for you.
Yeah. So Dave, do you want to make that motion?
Sure. Do you want me to restate it, or can we? I'll make a motion for preliminary approval with the project to come back for final on consent to review the building details that have been modified.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
I recused myself from that item. Okay, item number 4, Dave is going to step down on this item. 2662 Sycamore Canyon Road. Haley, are you back with us still on this item, please? Haley?
Yes, I am, but I believe our architects will be taking the lead, Guadalupe, in the presentation.
Okay, so we had a site visit on this today. Site visit and story poles required. Story poles along ridge line and of the main residence at 4 corners of the pool cabana and the cabana ridge line. Nice project. Second story well integrated into design of the residence. So, Haley, you are on mute. We were all out there today. Haley, you're still on mute.
I'm actually going to be answering your
Aha,
question and explaining
okay.
the project. I was also here I was also there today.
Okay, yes, you were. So how much presentation do we need, members of the board? Shall we just go through it quickly? We are on for further conceptual. So I don't think we need a lot more. Plan review. Dave, Dave, you're taking care of the drawings, right? Even though you're recusing?
Did I miss a site visit today?
You did miss a site visit today. Two of them.
The story poles are still there if you're curious.
I didn't see it on the agenda.
S1 and S2, we have a new plan, Okay, so let's go through the drawings, just each page, I think.
Mm-hmm.
David, are you with us or did you leave us?
I'm here. I'm running I'm just recusing myself.
Okay, so I'll try it a third time. Can we just go through the drawings? There we go.
So here we just have the existing conditions and the context. The first pictures are related to the access, the main entry, the secondary entry, the driveway, and the garage. And also the other units, we have the main house. We also have in picture number 5, the existing guest house that will be converted into an ADU. We can also see picture number 6, the main house, and 7 will be also the existing pool and spa. This is just a little bit of information to explain the project. On the next one, we have a few pictures of where the proposed buildings are going to be located. It's a little bit hard to understand, but the first one, it will be more or less, we are on top of the footprint of the pool cabana. And on the third one, we are showing the location where the new lap pool and trellis it's going to be. Here we have the area calculations. We are below the maximum, the recommended floor area. So I would like to maybe jump into the site plan. This is just okay, perfect. So here in the main house, we see this darker hatch, and that's the second floor addition to the house. This is happening only on the south portion of the building. The rest of the house will remain a one-story house. We also see on the north, it's looking north. On the north, the proposed cabana, that it will have a green roof. And connected to the pool cabana, we see a new lap pool and trellis. And as I explained today, we're trying to be very mindful of not obstructing any views for the clients and also for the neighborhood, for the neighbors. So the proposed cabana, since the terrace and the green roof is accessible, the level of that roof is only 2 feet higher than the level of the existing house. Here are just a few sections showing that we are complying with the height limitations. Here are the floor plans. Maybe we can skip through that. Here we have a few elevations showing the existing materials. We're trying also to be very mindful of the existing architecture and the character of the house. So we are trying to maintain everything as much as possible. The second floor addition here is matching the existing plaster showing in this conceptual beige color. So we will use the same plaster for those walls. We are also trying to replicate existing copper roofs. So in the second floor addition, we are using that. We are introducing in the first elevation, you can see a vertical screen for privacy. That will be probably metal or wood fins. The material that we are replacing is the stone, and we are proposing a brick. These other elevations, the first one is showing the, that's fine, don't worry, we can jump into the other one to see the elevation of the cabana actually. Yeah, the last elevation is the Cabana. That is the facade that it's open towards the mountains. But as you see, you can see what I was explaining earlier about how we use grading, and that accessible rooftop, it's not obstructing any views. So we try to be very mindful of where that footprint it's going to be. These are just a few sections, so also showing the height limitations. And here we have our material board. The first one are a few renderings. The first one is the east elevation. So that's the elevation that it's more open. We can see on the left, the second floor addition. Thanks. And we can see also how we are trying to match the language and also the materials to the existing lower level. The second rendering, it's also showing the second floor addition, but from the entrance view. So you will see that this elevation is much more private. So we are being very mindful about the privacy of the clients. Below that, you also have the existing materials. The first picture is showing the stone and these copper elements. We have copper wall panels and also copper roofs that we will maintain, and the new ones will match the existing ones. We also showing one picture of the existing plaster. The third one is the picture of the stone that we will replace it with a brick. And the fourth one, this is a siding that it's wrapping all the garage area of the house that we will probably repaint a very similar color. And I think there's one last rendering below that is showing the Cabana, and you can take a closer look of that green roof that we are proposing. And I know that this picture is, of course, it's a rendering, it's not completely realistic, but as you saw today, on the back and on the right, that Cabana is surrounded by existing oaks, protected existing oaks that we are not impacting and we are not removing. So that will serve also as an extra screen between the neighbor and the Cabana.
Are you done?
Yeah, we have on the right a few reference pictures. If you want, I could just briefly describe them about the materials that we are planning on using.
Anybody feel they need that at this time? We're on for concept today.
No, yeah.
Okay. So with that, Guadalupe, are you done?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
okay,
that's all.
Excellent. So questions, item number 4, tip.
No questions. Thank you.
Bill.
I apologize for missing the site visit. I didn't realize the new format there. Does it already have second story, the existing house?
No.
So the second story is all new.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, I'm going to defer to those that saw the story poles out there. You didn't take site photos of the story poles.
We have site photos, yes.
Okay. Well, I'll look at those later. Anyway, that's all I had for questions.
Elida.
Can we go to the, oh, actually it's down here. Can we enlarge the proposed cabana? The treetop, are you planning on doing this planting in dirt, or are these going to be pots, or what are your thoughts about this green terrace?
We have our landscape architect also on this call, so maybe he can chime in.
Haley, is that you?
Jeff, are you there?
Oh. Well, at some point, I'd like to get a little more clarification how that's going to happen.
Yeah, we are proposing, I'm not sure what is the minimum soil that we will have, but the idea is not to have any planters extruding, and the vegetation that it will be there, it's going to be designed by our landscape architect, also trying to comply with the fire department.
Okay, my questions are the height of the material on the roof and what they're going to be planted in. planters, pots into level of dirt? I'm just curious how that's going to be done.
We have to design actually the planters. It will probably be a black and steel edge, and no, I will say between 12 inches of soil. But the planting plan will be presented of the next round of revision.
Okay, thank you.
Have you been to the fire department, please?
Yes, and actually Aaron and Alex, they were there on site on Friday. We submitted and they mentioned that they will approve our drawings this week. After the site visit and a previous Zoom call, instead of providing a hammerhead, they agree we are going to enlarge the existing driveway. That if you want, I can show you quickly on the site plan. But we are basically.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, we are basically extending the existing concrete to provide a better turnaround for the fire truck. But yeah, we are coordinating with them.
Do I correctly understand?
Hey, Guadalupe, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello?
Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We were having audio issues on our end. I wanted to address the planters. For Alita, I wanted to address the planters on the roof. Those are an intensive green roof system, so they're actually built-in planters. And Guadalupe was correct in saying that we will provide at least 12 inches of soil to maintain those plants. And we are still working out the details of the planter, but they are integral to the building and they will complement the building. They will not be pots is the short answer to the question. Does that make sense, Alita?
Yes. Will you have a kind of a planting plan for this, and we have more details?
Absolutely. When we move to our next stage, you're going to see more plants than you care to see.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Guadalupe, am I correct in saying that this cabana is a brand new structure?
Yes.
Given the very large site that you have, it's something like 3.08, just for round numbers, acreage. You have chosen a location that is not immediately near the pool, is very close to the neighbors, and with tree trimming, which is going to happen in the lifetime of this project, won't this cabana's location be extremely exposed to the neighbor to the north and west?
I don't think that the neighbor will see any particular views. For sure that the cabana has a relationship with the lab pool. So I think that the idea was for these two buildings to be connected. And as you see, the lab pool is 10 feet by 75. So we were very mindful on where to locate these. Another thing of this particular project, we are working with an existing architecture that we really like. So the curve of the main house is one of the most important elements of the language of the existing architecture. So if you see that curvature, it's part of extending and creating this retaining wall that is facing the neighbor. None of the facade is open towards that side. You don't have any windows, any openings. You won't be able to see necessarily anything. And we made sure the building is only 12 feet high, and we made sure we could provide more sections or elevations, that it wasn't a building that was sticking out. It was speaking to the existing architecture, and we are also working with the language of the hillside.
Yeah, can I add something, Guadalupe, about that?
Yeah, sure.
We did, John, we did look at the location of the cabana early in site design. We the representation of the drip lines of those oaks isn't entirely accurate. It's based on a visual survey. Based on our visual survey, we were impacting the oaks next to the pool much less by locating the cabana where it is. And there was really only one spot for the cabana, which is there's kind of an open space to the just up above that curving stair that is directly adjacent to the pool, but we were very concerned about locating the cabana there, as it would impact the oaks in that area greatly.
Okay.
And I'm feeling very confident that with all the evergreen trees that surround the back side of the cabana, that it won't present any sort of visual disturbance of the neighbors' views. And I don't know if you guys noticed that today, that essentially the rear and the side of that cabana are all screened by substantially tall evergreen trees, including the oaks.
Okay, so now, if I were to say that over the life of this project, let's say to 30, 50, 75 years, that at some point somebody likely will trim those trees. Is there a way, and that the neighbors have no control over those trees? You correctly identified at the site visit today that those trees were on your property and only your property, and it appeared that the neighbors had next to none, which probably does not serve you well, but that this would then expose the neighbor without any ability for them to have an ability to comment or something to your light, your noise, your party activity, et cetera, to this roof. Isn't that possible, if not likely, over the lifetime of this project? Maybe not this owner, but maybe some future owner. Guadalupe, isn't it possible, or actually likely, please?
To be completely honest, the neighborhood has a two-story house, so I'm not sure what it will be visible from their second level, but I'm pretty sure that some portion of the project will be visible. When we design, we try to be as respectful as we can. As you see, we were also taking into consideration the huge area where the existing pool and guest house was located, so we didn't want to concentrate everything on one part. And as you said, the lot is 3.09 acres, so we thought that it was really well distributed. But to be honest, I'm not sure what will happen with those trees, like you mentioned in the future. There's no way for me to say that. The only thing that I could tell you is that we can screen that area as much as we can to make it work for everybody.
So that's, Haley, I'm sorry, please.
I was going to say, we have engaged Chris Duke McPherson on this project, and he's studied, we do have an arborist report, and maybe we can add some of those notes to our plans when we return. My understanding of oak trees is that there's limited ability to trim them, and it's a pretty regulated process. So I would want to be mindful of that, it would be unlikely to be removing significant oak trees in the future.
Okay, public comment. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 4, 2662 Sycamore Canyon Road? We had one person last time. Do we have anybody this time, please?
John, I don't see any hands.
Okay, excellent. So now comments from the board. We're on for concept. What do people think about this project, etc.? So let's go back through the same order. Tip?
Yes, I had a chance to visit the site today, and I'm happy with the way the project evolves. The cabana and then the second story addition, and I think it works well with the house on site. So I think that we should move this project along. Thank you.
Okay. Bill?
Yeah, I'm looking at Google Earth, and it looks like the second story addition doesn't appear to impact the neighborhood in any way. And I approve the architectural style. They're trying to keep with what's started there and kind of finish it out. In terms of the relationship of the guest house there, since I didn't make a site visit there, it's hard for me to tell, but it looks like it kind of sinks down. It does get a little close to that neighbor over there. Maybe there's a way to reduce the radius off that spring point of the center line and bring it in a little closer, a little further away from that property line, as you were discussing, John. But in general, I like the way what they've got going there, and looks good.
Elida, please.
Well, John, you jumped in where I was going to go on comments. It's that terraced rooftop. It's got a fireplace going. It's intended to be a entertainment area. And I saw the neighbor's house when we made the site visit today. So I've got to think that the neighbor can see this rooftop entertainment area. So it troubles me. And I was going to ask John or Kimberly, under comments, is there some kind of way we can say we trust the integrity of the homeowner to keep those oaks, not to prune them so that it exposes this rooftop to the neighbor? I don't know how to deal with it yet because I don't understand it well enough. So that's what I have to say. Oh, it's an incredible site. One of the prettiest sites I've ever seen. Beautiful. But that's it.
And nearly impossible to find. So, okay, I think the main part of the house, the second story addition, is fine. I thought that the integration to the main part of the house was good. I think that whatever cleanup you do with the remainder of the house and this new second story addition is going to be quite lovely. I think this Cabana rooftop is a serious problem. I will probably vote against the entire project if it's retained, at least in this location, or maybe at all. If it was just a building without a rooftop, that's something different. I hate to pick on people, or to mention past projects, but Tip brought a project before us maybe 2 years ago now, something like that had a rooftop over a gym. And he was a heck of a lot farther from the proper side yard than this. And if I may say, we gave him a hard time. And I think that this deserves the same kind of respect to the neighbor. This is easily available for abuse into the future. We never know what's going to happen in the future. So trying a hope and a prayer to me is not good enough. I would like to see the roof deck eliminated, or the project reconfigured so that there is little or no possibility that the neighbor will have a future eyesore. I would not want this party space next to me if I lived up there. So, okay, we are on for concept. What do we want to do, people? Members of the board. Back for concept. Is it ready for preliminary? What do other people concur with me about this guest Cabana? It sounds like Elida and I are out there on our own. What's up, people?
Oh, yeah, I think that, it's based on what I've seen on site today, it's kind of secluded in a way. So personally, I don't have a problem with that. And you had to give the owner a certain right to keep they comply to all the setbacks. And you seem like it's kind of low in the valley, so I hate to put any imposement on that roof deck. So as I mentioned, I definitely can support the way it is.
Okay. And Bill?
Yeah, having not seen the proximity, if I look at the site and the aerials, it looks fine. But I'm going to trust the professionals on the group here to make the decision. I think we're going to have to stand down on that, the position of that. Again, if that roof deck is not a critical element to their entertainment, they have so much other flat entertainment area, maybe they can propose to not do that and just make it a roof, a green roof, or just a regular roof, and then I would imagine they would get your support. So I'm going to have to hold back on any decision on that particular part. The rest of the structure is fine. I think the second story looks great, and what they've done with the building looks good. So I'll just have to hold on the Cabana comments.
I hate to grant special privilege. Haley, can you turn your mic on, please?
Yes.
Would you be able to take Bill on a special site visit at some mutually agreeable time so that he would be able to communicate with about this intelligently? Yes.
Yes, thank you. We can.
And you work at
that chair
Suzanne
once.
Elledge's office, correct?
Yes, correct.
So Bill, if you could contact her if you'd like to get up there. It is a little tricky to find that driveway. Okay, so we're on for concept. Do we want to come back for concept, or we want to try preliminary? I think that my concern is not the cabana. My concern is the roof deck. So,
Well, I mean, if they make the concession to remove the roof deck.
Easy, easy.
Yeah, done deal.
Done deal. So, Bill, why don't do we want to try coming back for preliminary, or do we want to do one more round at this level, please?
I think they could come back for preliminary if they really are hard and fast with their decision with this roof deck. Then maybe a site section showing the neighbor relation and the screen buffer, and make their case if they're fine with not having it as a roof deck because they have so much flat area. Then take it off and call it good. Come back for preliminary and take your chance.
Okay, does everybody agree that we can come back for preliminary?
Yes.
And Bill, would you and Haley please find a way to get together so that you, and before the story poles are taken down, that was critical. Okay, and there is no motion, so good luck, everybody, and you've heard our comments. We'll see you next time. Okay, item number 9. Steve, are you with us, please?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you very much. We had some quorum issues, which we just have gotten resolved, so we were kind of bouncing around on the agenda. We are now back on track. Item number 9, 2775 Sycamore Canyon Road. On for final approval. So please, and address the lighting on PDF page 12, please, while you're at it. Okay, MBR expressed concerns regarding the proportions and scale of the garage. Restudy garage, consider lowering the plate to 9 feet. Okay, Steve, it's up to you.
All right. Well, I appreciate your comments and suggestions from the last time. And I think it largely had to do with proportions of that gable end of the garage. My client's program precludes him from lowering the plate height to 9 feet. It's still 10 feet, but if we can go to the elevations, I'm not sure which page number that is, but it's a short set of plans. So
Oh, did
that's probably up higher. There we go. We're getting closer. Okay, up higher. Yeah, A 2.0 there.
One more up.
One more up. Okay, so what I did is I adjusted the size of the garage doors so they're more proportional to that whole composition. I added a trellis, as you suggested, and I opted not to have something that had any posts supporting it or knee braces. It's just very simple, and it is 6x6s cantilevering out 2 feet. And then I also added a decorative vent in the gable end on both ends of the garage. And I say that's decorative because the garage roof will have spray foam insulation, so I don't need ventilation in there. But I think it adds something to the interest and the composition of the gable end. And, it'll enable a vine such as bougainvillea, as I've depicted here, to kind of soften that elevation. And I think that was the only issue the last time I was before you.
Would you go to PDF in the first set? Are there multiple sets here?
There,
No. Okay, so the main set, okay, try PDF page 12, please.
Oh. You know, this one's labeled the other way, John.
No,
that's weird.
What are you trying to get to?
site lighting, landscape plan, down
Electrical,
towards the bottom,
this-
down towards the bottom.
This not okay. Down towards.
That's the lighting on the garage, and then we have the same lighting on either side of the entry gates.
Right there, okay, and go right up. Maybe it's the next page. Previous. There was one that had lighting on it.
Yeah, one of the landscape was, actually, it's L 1.0, I think, one more up.
And in
There you go.
particular, there is a downlight. Can you discuss those, please, and where they're located?
Well, I expected our landscape architect was going to be here today, but apparently she's not. I think those are just tree lights. So I haven't really studied that closely, but I don't know. Does it indicate how many of those there are?
There are 3 of them, and Dave, if you can go right to the entry driveway, please. The entry driveway.
By the
Not
street?
On the street. They're right there. No, right at the entrance. Those 3 right there. Those are down lights.
Yeah.
Okay, and those are the only 3.
Yeah.
Okay, Dave, Bill, Steve, are you done, please?
Yeah, I think that's all I have to present.
Okay, Bill, questions?
Yeah. Is in your illustration there at the front of the garage, you show the tails coming out, and then you show kind of a crossbar on top in the section. Yeah, go to that elevation right there, Dave, A 2.0. Is it missing a horizontal running across those, or
over the garage doors?
Yeah, you see how you have the tails coming out for
Yeah.
the trellis.
That's what I was saying. I didn't really want to have, I didn't want to busy it up with columns that likely could also get hit by a car backing out of the garage.
Not columns.
and
I mean, a horizontal beam running across the top of that.
Yeah, so columns would support a horizontal beam, or knee braces would support a horizontal beam. And I liked it best when it was very simple with just these cantilevered 6x6s. They cantilever out, I think, 2.5 feet.
Oh, okay, because I saw on the other elevation, it looked like there was a cross member, unless I'm misreading.
There are some other trellises you see just to the right of the garage. That's back at the back end of the garage, connecting the garage to the ADU.
Oh, that one on the east elevation there, see that little tail? It's got a.
Yeah, that is the back of, that's the back of the one you were just looking at.
Oh, got it. Okay, all right. And then the gate, is that a new gate? The gate's new, right? And the pilasters and all that, that's all new, right?
At the street entry.
At the entry, yeah.
All of that is new. The columns, the walls, the gates.
And it looks like your gate is over 8 feet, huh? You don't want to do that, do you? Kimberly, maybe you can chime in.
We went over all of this the last time, and I do have an excerpt from the zoning ordinance on that page that states the allowable heights, and those gates are behind the front yard setback.
So you can go up to 8 feet on entry gates.
Behind the front yard setback, he can go to 35 feet.
Oh, with a gate?
We won't do that.
Okay, great, very good. That was all I had then.
Okay, excellent. Alida, please.
No questions.
David, please.
No questions, John.
Tip, please.
No questions.
And I have no questions. Public comment. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 9, 2775 Sycamore Canyon Road, please?
You know, we lost our last attendee.
Okay, you're about ready to lose all of us too. Okay, comments, please. Back in the same order. Bill is on for final.
Yeah, I can give it final as submitted.
Including the tree lights out in front of the property?
Well, let me go look at that again. I'm sorry, I was.
12, page 12.
I'm sure they're very low intensity and just kind of help provide a little lighting, a little glow on the ground.
He also has lights on the pilasters at the gate.
Yeah, and originally I had proposed gas lanterns, which obviously produce very little light, but a strict interpretation of the ordinance is you can't have something that casts light onto adjacent properties. So
Yeah, 3 in that one. Is that the tree canopy we're looking at? And those are three in that.
Yeah. So it's very low level illumination.
Yeah, I don't know if I could go for that.
Yeah, guys, we can take those lights out. I think Jessica just threw them in. We didn't ask for them. So
okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Take those off.
Lights are out.
Okay, so Bill, are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, if those come off, then we're good.
Elida, please.
No comment.
David, please.
Yeah, I appreciate the changes that you've made to the garage, and I think that proportionally looks much better. So I can definitely support the project with the removal of the tree lights at the street and the perimeter of the property there.
Yep.
Yes, I concur with Dave's comments. Thank you.
And I concur with Dave's comments as well. Steve, I certainly hope you're going to be providing some flashing on the top of those cantilevered, whatever they're called, trellis.
It's on the detail, John.
Okay, excellent. I didn't see it, so thank you. Okay, we're on for final. Is there a motion for final approval as submitted with the removal of the tree lights, please? I will move first for approval as submitted with the removal of the tree lights.
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion, please? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
Thank you all.
Thank you, Steve.
later.
Last item, 370 and 372 Miramonte. Brett, are you there with us today?
Hi, good afternoon. Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so this project had controversy, as we all remember. You went to the Planning Commission, is that correct?
No, we avoided the Planning Commission. Everything was worked out between my client and the neighbor.
Okay, let me read the comment. Architect and owners have done a good job of responding to comments to reduce size and height. Size, bulk, and scale acceptable, materials acceptable. One member suggested that the applicant consider using gray weathered wood. Two members suggested restudying the balcony off the master bedroom. Concerns expressed regarding usability of guest parking. Provide documentation that demonstrates that adequate backup space is available for the garage and the guest parking. Brett, I think we are familiar with this. Can you focus in on the changes, please?
I believe those comments were maybe not from our preliminary approval.
Maybe.
That might have been the meeting before our preliminary approval.
Okay. Can you
Brett, do you know
focus
which
in
one-
on the changes from our preliminary approval, please?
We have really been spending the last 9 months just developing this very well-coordinated, complex set of detailed drawings for this house. So there are no substantive changes. There's one minor change that was reviewed by, you can go to sheet 2, please. That was reviewed by our planner, Willow Brown, approved by the neighbor to the north, and subsequently approved by your chairperson. And that is lower rendering beyond the second floor balcony. You might recall way back there that privacy screen facing north or toward the neighbor, and the canopy that wrapped up and over that was proposed and approved previously as translucent glass in a skeletal black frame. We changed that, and that was approved to a plate steel, a blackened plate steel, totally opaque, totally private element that's solid on the north end and solid on the roof. And you will see that as you scroll through all of the drawings and the details. Other than that, These renderings are presented to you just to show you what the final project looks like in these two views, one from Miramonte, one from the private driveway. And you can scroll through all of the drawings if you like, and I can answer any architectural questions that might come up. I believe the owner, Mark Berger, is joining us if any landscape questions come up. And if any lighting questions come up, I believe Ann Kale is available as well.
The site lighting is on PDF page 10, if we want to take a look at that.
Oh, is it on this
I
one?
think it's on the first set, yeah.
First
I think
set,
the
okay.
second one is just the structural and mechanical, correct, Brad?
Well,
Or the details on that as well?
I don't know what sequence your drawings are in, but
Okay, so
the landscape. Yeah, there you
light
go.
fixture B is the one, there's two in the front yard and one in the backyard that are the down lights, tree lights.
Yeah, there's three. I think they're 4-watt cylinder pointing down.
Fixture B, Betty.
Correct.
Okay. And Bill, did you have a chance to review the set, please? You're on mute, Bill.
I did, yeah, I wanted to quick go over the downlights though. So he's really just got, well, he's got 3
Right.
in the trees there, yeah.
Yeah, those are olive trees.
Yeah, I did. I reviewed everything and the drawings look complete. Is that what you're asking, John, or?
Yeah, you know, you are Mr. Detail.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, no, he covered them all really well.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
Brett, do you have anything more that you would like to address the board about?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. I will take that as we are done with our presentation. Okay, questions, David?
no questions, John.
Tip?
Yeah, can I see the second floor and the new screening that you added to the back, please?
Sure. Maybe the best place to go for an elevation view would be sheet A 4.2.
Do you know
And
which PDF page that is?
In the sequence. Oh, boy.
Looks like it might be on the other set, I'm guessing. Here.
Let's see, if you scroll, Dave, down to the bottom of what you have on the left hand there, I can tell you real quick. Yeah, it's going to be in the next set. There we go. That's a good starting point. The south elevation on the bottom, you can see the shaded, all the steel, the black and steel plate on our construction drawings is shaded the darker tone of gray. So on the right-hand side beyond, you can see
What about the back elevation?
Sure, that would be the next sheet.
It's an L shape tip.
It's a vertical L shape, correct.
It just goes straight up and comes over and goes horizontally.
Yeah, it was
super thin. You don't see it on that east elevation there.
That's actually what's drawn is correct. It's 2 inches at the back and it tapers to 1 inch with a radius edge at the edge. And it's kind of a sandwich, an airplane wing made out of 5/16 inch plate steel.
So like it comes out like 5 feet from the doors and windows?
It comes out the full depth of the deck.
Which is like 7 feet, huh?
Not quite.
And it has a metal roofing over it, metal edge.
It's 5'8". It's not metal roofing. No, it's a sloped plate steel.
Sloped plate steel, so the whole thing like an L shape.
Yes.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
Okay, Bill.
No questions.
Elida.
Dave, can we go up on this page just a little bit? No, I'm sorry, excuse me, the other way.
Okay, let me,
Down.
I'd like to see the.
yeah, I'm gonna get back
drawing
up.
below there, right there. Can we, perfect, can we get that a little larger? So this was one of the first site visits I made when I was new on the board. And we went next door and went upstairs and went into the neighbors to the north bedroom. And the way it was thought through at that point, the people to the south could look right into their bedroom and right into their bathroom. And
So Elida, this is questions. So
no, I thought,
phrase it as a question, please.
yeah. So the question is the neighbor to the north now supportive of this project? Have changes been made so that they are at ease with their privacy?
As I mentioned, everything's been approved subsequent to the preliminary approval from your board in April. It was a 3-month process to work out and coordinate and compromise, and that was formalized with our release of our land use permit in July.
Yes, the answer is yes.
Yes, thank you.
That's it.
Okay, great. And John, I have no questions at all. Public comment. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 10, 370 and 372 Miramonte, please?
We have no speakers.
Excellent. Everyone's left. Comments. This is on for final. David.
Yeah, I think they've come through a long process and have arrived at a spot where they've resolved the issues with the neighbors. I think the design has always been very nice. It's been, the issues have to do with the impact to the neighbors in the neighborhood. And I think those are resolved and I can support the project.
Kip.
I do agree with Dave. I think that it's a long process, but I think overall it really worked out between the neighbors. And it ended up with a beautiful project, so I can definitely support it as submitted.
Bill.
Yeah, I agree with everybody's comments, and I appreciate, Brett, you working with the neighbor, and it was a long haul, and really, I think at the end of the day, you've got a nice project here, so well done.
Elida. Sorry, Elida.
I agree with my colleagues on this.
I was chair then, and I am chair now, and I was, as chair, there were things that are presented and said, can you approve this as chair, including this L-shaped structure. During that time of the approval, I said through an email, I never talked to Brett directly, that I felt that steel, which has an extremely high thermal capacity and conductivity, their properties of metal, was not as good a choice as aluminum, which has an extremely low capacity. In other words, you can get burned by touching some of the stuff on the extremely hot days that we do have here. I want to express my concern about that. I think it's outside the purview of this board, but I would very much like to have him reconsider an aluminum so that nobody gets hurt inadvertently because of the choice of materials. But it is his project. He is the architect. I advised him then. As a board, we are advising him now. So is there anybody that would like to make a motion for final approval on this project, please?
Yeah,
I'll make a motion for final approval as submitted.
Okay, is there a second, please?
I'll second it.
Okay, any further comments, please? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Good luck with everything. We are now at the point.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brett. We are now at a point where it is time for an adjournment motion. Is there anybody that would like to make that?
I'd like to make a motion for us to adjourn today's meeting, January 26th, 2023.
Is there a
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Bill, take that opportunity to get up there and see that site, please.
Will do.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thanks,
you
everyone.
both,
Couple
David.
weeks.
Thank you
Thank
both,
you.
David.
Yeah,
Thank you.
good job.